Hi everyone. Good morning. Good morning, guys. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being early. I think some of you have already joined us. Just type a GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you for just being early. Maybe just to show your chat up in the screen as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining us as well. Hi, we have Lianka. Good morning as well. Hi, good morning. Andy, good to see you here every Friday joining us. A lot of familiar names as well. Good morning. We have Koma as well. Good morning. Brandon. Hi, Liz, Cynthia. Good morning. Morning. Okay, very good. So this is working. Welcome to our Friday Ask Me Any Stock session. And if you have been following us, essentially since the beginning of last year, right, we have been going live every Friday. Of course, if there's like a public holiday, then probably not, right? But every Friday we go live. We alternate between the Singapore and the US market. And as the name of this session goes, right, ask me any stocks, right? Yeah, so this means that we're just going to go through the stocks that you guys asked. All right, so today will be the US market. Why? Because last Friday was Singapore, so today we'll be back to US. The next Friday will be back to Singapore market, right? So very simple. We do a quick market outlook. All right, what is happening in the market? What is the S&P 500 index looking? What are some of the key levels? Is it going up? Is it going to come down? Right? Do we want to be careful, or maybe is it a huge opportunity right now? That's what we'll find as well. A quick market outlook. Okay, and after that, then we'll go on to the next segment, which will be the US stocks that you guys are asking about. All right, so at the end, again, after going through all your stocks, right, then me and my team, today we have Z over here. Later I will introduce her, but that's where at the end, two of us will share with you two new US stocks that you can put in a watch list for maybe even more upside, because we saw some really good bullish signals coming up on the system, the one good trend system. So that's where you want to take a look at them, put them in your watch list as well. All right, Ken. So that's pretty much what will happen. Good morning, Antonia. Hi, Shah, Ray as well, Styler, LK, Munford, Abdul, Steven, Simon. Right, very good. Welcome. Okay, so let's get started right now. And would it be okay before we even get started, help us to like and share? I think there should be, if you are totally new, you have no idea who I am. Let's help us to like and share first, maybe before I share more a bit of myself. But there should be a bell icon at the top, all right, or on Facebook. So we're live on YouTube and on Facebook as well. So that bell icon somewhere, hit it, right, so that when we go live, you will be alerted. All right, and can help us to reach out to more people as well. Ken, all right, so welcome. So my name is Joey Choy, top tier MyZell trader in Phillip Securities. I've been doing this for more than 15 years now. Pretty much my forte is in stocks. We do, have this strategy that I call the one good trend strategy. In short, it's one GT. So essentially what this means is that we ride stocks and position ourselves along with the trend. All right, take trades that is higher probability, because we're not going against the trend, we're riding along the trend, but not anywhere with the trend, right? At very specific zones, specific signals, confirmations that we seek to get what we call the confluence of many factors. All right, so we have a kind of like a 7-step checklist that just kind of ties it up, everything together. And yeah, this is what we call the one good trend 7-step checklist, right? So if you want to find a little bit more, all right, we don't have any webinars planned in the next few weeks, but we do have one webinar probably like in May, probably like next month, right? So team, just place the link in the chat, right? So this way you can attend a free webinar to find a bit more about the strategy, how we have a tool to guide us on when to get in and get out. All right, so link is right in the chat. Click on it, find a bit more, attend a free webinar next month. We don't do this every other week or every other month, right? Not really my full-time job lah, so just doing my best to share, but attend a free webinar to find out more. Right, today will be more on the stock that you guys are asking about. I don't have time to explain the whole strategy, so it's just pump, just go through your stocks. So let's get started. Okay, so I have with me, joining me today, Z, right? Z, one of the top brokers under me in Phillip Securities as well, joining me for more than 5-6 years now, assisting us in our group coaching sessions with our graduates, one-on-one sessions with our mentees, and even assisting our team's portfolio manager, running what we call 8-figure portfolio management business as well. And Z is what we call an expert in charting. All right, she is a chartered market technician, CMT. All right, what does this mean? Well, it means that you're an expert in charts, like anything to do with charts, right? Patterns, candlestick, price action, whatever indicators you want. She's an expert. Sometimes do consult her a little bit. Of course, she's very well versed on the entire one good trend strategy that me and my team actually uses. All right, so let me pass on the mic maybe to Z, all right, here today, just to share a little bit on herself and how she can add value to all of you here today. All right, Z, go ahead.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi everyone, my name is Z for those who have not met. But good to be back, right? Because I think I was on a break, I think the past 2 weeks lah. But yeah, good to be back and to see so many familiar names here today as well, right? So like what Joey mentioned, basically just to sum it up, I'm a big fan of charts and trends, right? And I've been with Joey for more than 5 years now. So later on, you can actually see, how we can actually use the 1GT indicator, right? That's developed by Joey to see how it can help you to break things down simply, right? Because the thing about when you look at chart, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It doesn't have to have too many indicators whereby it then cloud your judgment as to, what should I do? Should I buy? Should I sell? This one doesn't tell you if that indicator and how, right? There's so many questions mark. So the thing is that for this 1GD Pro indicator, I think it really helps you to simplify everything down. And then it helps you to make a decision very quickly with just a click of a button, right? And you will be able to see the buy and sell signals as well. So later on, for the next 1.5 to 2 hours, right, we will go through as many stocks as possible as you from the chat, right, for the US market, and we can see some of the stocks and the trends, and hopefully we can spot some beautiful charts along the way, right? And how the 1GT indicator can complement and help you with making some of these trading decisions as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'll pass my time back over to Joey to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so yeah, that's what we pretty much go through later. We'll use the one good trend strategy, the 1GT Pro indicator. That just makes things so much simpler. In a matter of seconds, it comes up with bullish and bearish signals, but we get other confirmations. That's where a potential trade can be taken. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead to get started. So just a quick disclaimer, right? As we always do, this entire session, live session, is just for education purposes only. All right, so please do your own due diligence, right? Not asking you to buy or sell anything. All right, I'm just sharing with you guys our strategy, our framework, the process, the structure that we go through every single time, and you decide on your own actions. All right, cool. So let's get started. So let me know, guys, how many of you want me to cover the markets very quickly, the stock market, maybe the S&P 500 index, right? Type an M for market, guys. Before we cover the markets very quickly, let me know. Type M for markets. I think some of you are already typing in the name of the US stocks, right, that you want a quick opinion on. That's good, right? But later we'll come to that. All right, but later, right, guys, let's take note. Later, when you type the name of the US stocks, right, in the chat, what you want to do is that you want to give us a little bit of context. Give us a bit of context. That's where we would, give you a bit more priority. All right, don't just type like one name there, Apple, like what do you want to know about Apple, right? So give us a bit of context, right? Are you looking to buy, to sell? What price do you get in last week, last month? What, give us a bit of context as where we'll give you a bit more priority. Cool. All right. Okay. So market. Simon, good to see you as well. Esther, hi. David, Ninam, Cynthia as well. Market. So let's go ahead to take a look at the market right now very quickly. What has happened? Are we looking to be more bullish? Or maybe you might want to be careful, right? Let's find out. Okay. So very simple. This is the market. The S&P 500 index, right over here, right? So before I turn on, this bullish and bearish signals from this indicator that I have, you can see that this market, I mean, we have seen a very strong recovery. Of course, last year sold off due to the tariff. All right over here, went from like 6,002 to 5,002, right? And there was some escalation between the US and China, but we saw a very strong, I would say, V-shaped recovery, right, from May last year, all the way up. And for the past 4 or 5 months, right, November to February, before the US-Iran war kind of started, we were capped below this 7,000 psychological resistance level. All right. And somewhere around like in early of March or end of Feb, 28th of Feb, right? That's where, Trump kind of launched missiles, right, into Iran. All right. And on the first day, the supreme leader was killed, all right, and then it escalated between US and Iran. Iran kind of like, retaliated, missiles were flying around, and it was pretty, I would say, like, a couple of weeks back, it was actually quite bad. You have been following the news, everywhere you see, like, smoke, missiles flying around, drones attack, airports was, being, attacked as well in the Middle East, right? So it's quite, I would say, quite bearish then, right? You can see that the short-term trend in terms of the green 20 days moving average line has turned like from sideways, all right, all the way down as March actually began, right over here, down, all right. But over the past 1 week, well, there's some positive developments because when the war started, and there were talks about negotiation and stuff, right? But Iran did not want to negotiate All right, it was just bombing each other, threatening, and of course Trump was going back and forth as well. All right, and if you remember, he actually gave a deadline like 48 hours. If you don't open the Straits of Hormuz, then we'll kind of like launch attacks into all your bridges, your power plants, and your energy infrastructure. Right, so that was a threat. Right, both parties were making threat. It was escalating. However, over the past week, in fact, since last week, last Thursday, right, we actually got some positive developments whereby there's some talks ongoing right now. Last weekend, there was the first talk between US and Iran in Pakistan. Of course, there was no deal that was being made. It's only one talk, right? They went through like a 15 hours marathon talks, right? They couldn't agree in terms of the, Iran's nuclear program, in terms of the enriched uranium that that Iran is supposed to give up. All right, I think they wanted like a permanent ban on the nuclear program, right? Then they gave way. I think US then they say, okay, 20 years, but Iran wanted like 5 years suspension and stuff, right? So it was still ongoing. A deal was not made. However, you can see that was a positive step, because all this while people saying that there's not going to be any negotiation and stuff, right? It's going to escalate. But however, we are kind of like in a positive step forward right now. There's a bit of negotiations, and over the past few days as well, I think Trump has came out and said that a deal is going to be made really soon, all right, over the next few days, maybe over the weekend, maybe up to next week, all right, and there's going to be a second round of talks, right? So one round not enough, so maybe second round of talks, and that's where hopefully both parties will give way, they can reach an agreement. I think that will be a very good boost to the entire market. And you've been following the news as well. I think this morning, when we woke up, you saw that same thing for the very first time in more than 3 decades. Israel and Lebanon, right? Kind of like agreed to have talks as well, a 10-day ceasefire, right? And that's a positive thing as well, all right? So, this is, compared to like, when it began in March, whereby, it was like everywhere, every time you turn on the news, it's like missiles flying around. I would say that now, at least it's no longer that stage, right? Things are progressing forward. Of course, it takes a bit more time, but I think people are more or less pricing in that optimism of a deal being made. And that's where the market has been pretty bullish, I would say, over the past 1 week, right? So that's what's happening in the market, right? So now let's dive into the charts of the S&P 500 index to actually see what it says, right? Is it really more bullish, right? Are we getting any bullish signals coming out? So let me go to turn on. So this is the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So before I turn on, you can see that I have already turned on the 100 days moving average, the red line, and the blue line and the green line. So the green line represents the short-term trend. Right? So you can see that the green line, it was like, as I say, flat, then down in March, down, and over the past 1 week, it started to turn up, right? So the short-term trend has already turned up. I mentioned that in last Friday. Ask me any stock session, you can watch the replay. I mentioned that it was really a bit more bullish. We are, a bottom would have already been found. We have higher lows, short-term trend turning up. The long-term trend in terms of the red and the blue line, we have been in the longer-term uptrend since last year. So that's fine as well, right? We just need the short-term trend to turn up, right? And that has happened, I would say, since last week when we did the AMAS last Friday session, right? So now let's see if we can get other confirmations as well, right? So let me turn on the very first box, which will be the bullish and bearish signals from my One Good Trend Pro indicator. Let's go 1, 2, 3, pop. And there we go, right? So in a matter of seconds, right, for any stocks, any asset classes, even the market, this is not a stock, this is a market, we can turn it on and we can see if there are any bullish or bearish signals. So you can see, right, as I said, previously in last year, in April, February, March, we got bearish signals due to tariff, went all the way down. We got a bullish signal, another one, all right, there we go, all the way up, right? And let's zoom in, right? So over the past few months, right, same thing. When the US-Iran conflict started, you see, we actually got 6th of March, a 1 GT bearish signal. A second one actually came out, we went down. So if you ask me in mid of March or 1st or 2nd or 3rd week of March, I would say be careful because, the bearish signal come out, the green line also turn down, you can buy for what, right? We are not out of the woods, right? You're going to wait for the stability, you're going to wait for confirmations to come back, all right? That's where you could guide us to get back in again, to load up again. All right. So if you see a bearish signal, you can take some profit, you can get out, you can reduce some exposure, maybe even cut loss on some of those stocks that have triggered bearish signals. Right. So we want to be patient. We don't want to rush to get in. However, over the past week, in fact, since last Friday, all right. So in fact, last Wednesday, so we did I think last Friday was like 10th of April, right? Last Friday was around here, 10th of April. All right, and we actually got a 1 GT bullish signal triggered last Wednesday on the 8th of April. Yeah, last Wednesday, 8th of April, we got a 1 GT bullish signal triggered. And of course, last Friday, I talked about it as well. I mentioned that we already got a 1 GT bullish signal. It's looking a little bit more bullish. All right, of course, it still can be volatile. Anything can change, but we are, looking to be in a reversal phase already, right? The short-term trend has turned up. We got the first 1 GT bullish signal as a confirmation that the market is looking not as bearish as it was in March. All right. So that was last Wednesday, a 1 GT bullish signal triggered. Last Friday, we talked about it. All right. Of course, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday passed. All right. And we got another today. This is live. So this is as of like last night, Thursday. All right. Okay, later I talk about this very key level. But you can see on Wednesday. So last Wednesday, 8 April, we got first bullish signal. 2 days back, the Wednesday, on the 15th April, we got another 1 GT bullish signal. So 2 already. 1 GT bullish signal, right? So that's where I would say that a lot of people are pricing in that this deal will more or less go through. All right, of course, I think they are kind of like preparing as well. If it does go through, I think that will be another catalyst for the next phase of upside. We could really start to see a lot more bullish momentum in the market and many stocks as well. So later we look at some of the stocks that you guys are asking to see if there are any bullish signals. Are there any reversal signs? We'll take a look at it. But right now, I would say that we got two 1 GT bullish signals. Long-term trend is up. The short-term trend has turned up, as I say, since last week. Right? And one thing I like is this, right? Remember, I talk about this very key level, right? This very key psychological resistance level, the 7,000 level, all right? In January, February, we touch it like 6-7 times. We neared it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, touch. Every time we go there, we come back down. A lot of selling. It's a psychological resistance there. In fact, in January and February, before this whole US-Iran war started, I thought we could break the 7,000 and we could start to move higher, but of course, no, the Iran, US-Iran conflict started and we traded lower, right? But the point here is that this was a very key psychological resistance level, right? Whereby we couldn't break above it for the past like 4-5 months, right? We were capped below it. However, over the past 2 days, right? You can see that when we got the second 1 GT bullish signal, and even last night, right? Quite a bullish candle, I would say, right? Buyers coming out on dips, right? We went to a low of around 7,008. Buyers came up and pushed it all the way up, and it closed somewhere around that 7,041 points. All right, so which is above 7,000 now. Does it make sense? Right. So that's where I would say that this is a very critical psychological resistance level. I mean, the fact that we have past 4-5 months. I mean, before the war, we touched it many times and come back down, and now we never come back down. We go above it. All right, we break above it and don't go up and come back down again. No, all right, you break above it, you stay above it, which is what we're seeing right now, 7,041, which is above 7,000. I think that could be where the market could be set up for, I would say, even more bullish momentum. I think if the deal goes through, all right, if there's any agreement being made, all right, and I think that would be another catalyst, as I say, another kicker for the market to take off to another stage. All right, that's where targets could be revised all the way to 7,200, maybe even to 7,500 as we end the year. All right, so not too bad. All right, as I said, last Friday, there were already signs of a reversal. All right, if you have caught it, you have watched the show last Friday, good, you probably have prepared yourself. Now, I would say even more bullish. We have broken the key 7,000 psychological resistance. So this is the S&P500 index, right? The S&P 500 index. You can just place the banner up, right? The S&P 500 index right up here, right? So very clearly, this is the top, I would say, the index that represents the top 500 companies in the US, right? A very popular index, right? So check out, right? I think you want to start positioning yourself in some of those US stocks as well, okay? Okay, let's take a look at maybe one more index, maybe the Nasdaq Composite Index to see what it says, right? So the Nasdaq Composite Index, I would say, would be the index that kind of like tracks the top technology companies in the US, right? So very quickly, I mean, you can see for yourself, like every time we get a bearish signal last year, all the way down, right? A new bullish signal in May, pump another one, all the way up, right? So same thing, let's just zoom into what has happened in March, February. We got two bearish signals. It starts coming down, right? But over the past 1-2 weeks, pump, 2-1 GT bullish signal, right? The long-term trend is already up. The green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend was going down, but over the past week, it started to turn up. That would be another confirmation that the short-term trend and the longer term trends are aligned. They're both kind of pointing up. Right, so that's a good sign, right? That's a good sign. So I think the tech stocks has been, pushing higher as well. Nvidia, Broadcom, and some of the tech stocks, right? Maybe we can cover it later, but looking definitely a bit more bullish, as I said, looking a bit more bullish. And one thing I like as well, if you have been following me over the past few AMAS sessions when I talk about the market, right? Well, for the Nasdaq, so S&P 500 index was the 7,000 level, right? But for Nasdaq, it's not 7,000. Nasdaq is the 24,000 level, right? Right over here since October, right? I also don't know why, but every time we go there, we always come back down, right? Go there, then come back down. Go there, near it, not even touch. Sometimes near it, then come back down, right? Come down, all right? Every time see here also, it starts to come back down, right? Come back down, near it, down, right? Every time go there, come back down from like November all the way to February. But the past few days, never come back down. I also don't know why, right? But it kind of like went above the 24,000 level. In fact, last night, on Wednesday, we like closed just a little bit above it. But last night, we kind of like pushed a little bit even higher, all right? And we closed at 24,102, which is above 24,000. Make sense? All right, so that's a good thing, right? In fact, you see quite a pretty bullish candle, right? So we got two bullish signal, all right? That's the first 1 GT bullish signal came out right over here. That was like last Wednesday. All right, another bullish signal came out right over here on Wednesday as well. All right, I don't know why it always come out on Wednesday, but it came out and we attempted to break that 24,000, right? So yesterday night, bullish candlestick, what we call a candle with a long lower shadow. All right, this means that buyers are coming out to defend. It went all the way down to a low. It was a red bar, but buyers came out, pushed it all the way up, and it closed somewhere at the day high. That's a positive thing, all right? Especially if you push it back up above the 24,000. Does it make sense, all right, Ken? So not too bad. I think market could be even more bullish. I think the next few days, not it's Friday, okay, maybe next week. Next week, I think it will be quite crucial, all right? It will really give more direction for the entire market, all right? Whereby, we could really start to see more, bullish actions coming back, right? Especially if the deal goes through. I think that's where funds, they are still waiting on the sidelines, waiting to get deployed, right? Just for that stability. Of course, funds actually came in because they're more or less preparing for the deal, but there's some extra funds sitting, waiting on the sidelines just to make sure that, the deal is done. I think that's where a flush of funds, money will start flowing through the markets. It will be another phase up for the US. Even for the Singapore STI, I think that will be another phase up as well, right? Once all this clears up, right? Less uncertainty in the market, right? I think that's where the market could be even more bullish. Cool. All right. So that is for the market. I hope that makes sense. All right. I hope that is some of the key levels. Let me know if you found it. You got some value. Type V for value, guys. Type V for value. If you got some value so far, all right, regarding the markets, a bit clearer as to why last week I mentioned I was quite, a little bit more bullish now, maybe even more. All right. Type V for value. If you got some value, right? Better understanding of the markets. Let me know. V for value. All right, I think thank you so much, Value, Jared, Brandon, David as well, Styler, good to see you here as well. Okay, so I think we have like more than 150 people joining us. Good morning, Linda, Value. Okay, very good. So I know some of you are already typing in the name of the stocks that you want a quick opinion on, right? So wow, quite a lot, guys. So every time, guys, we got like more than 50, 60 over US stocks. So we try our best. So we just go through very quickly, one by one. All right, and just give me some time. Maybe I'll just pick the very first US stock for today, the very first US stock for today, all right? And thank you so much for those of you who have given us a bit of context, all right? A bit of context on like your stock, right? That's where we will definitely give you a bit more priority, okay, Ken? Okay, let me go ahead to pick the very first stock, all right? Let me go to pick the very first stock for today. Let's see, okay? Let's see, what could be the first stock today? Okay, let me just pick okay, let's take a look at this, right? Okay, bro, Tesla below $300 few years, or not bro it's bought I thought you called me bro. Okay, never mind. You bought Tesla below $300 few years ago, right? What is a good target price to take some profit? It's currently just a rebound or turn around, all right? So you bought Tesla below 300 few years ago. Let's take a look at the very first stock today. Tesla, TSLA, Tesla. Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. All right. So let me just go to remove. So let me just go to pull out the 1GT Pro indicator. Let's keep it simple, right? And we can take a look at it from the chart, right? So you can see that I've already turned on the 3 moving averages, right? In terms of the red line, the 100 days moving average, the blue line, and even the green 20 days moving average line. So all these 3 moving averages kind of give me an idea in terms of the trend, right? In the longer term and also the short term, right? So right now, we say that for Tesla, right? So we have seen quite a bit of selling, right? From like December last year. Look at the green line, right? The green line is like down since December, down. Right now, maybe the green 20 days moving average line starting to flatten out a little bit, at least not really down already. So we may have found a bit of a bottom, right? But let's just take a look at what could be signs or maybe to get back in, right? So you got it below 300 a few years ago. That's good because now the price is 388, all right? 388. So but you're sitting on profits, all right? What's a good target price to take some profit, right? So let's just take a look at, the signals for Tesla. So let's turn on the very first box, 1, 2, 3, pump. Okay. So I would say that in terms of like signals, so I'm not too sure like exactly when you bought it. Like if you bought it $300, like, over here, all right, $300 over here, that will be pretty good, right? I mean, you got some bullish signals went up, and you could have got out, I would say, as I say, when we got some bearish signal over here, somewhere on a 450, I think you could have got out because you got at 450. You can see now it's 380 plus. You could have saved some money and maybe wait to get back in again, right? But you can see, right? So we got bearish signal. The short-term trend was turning down, and we headed lower from 450 all the way to like about 350, 370, right? And then another bearish signal came out as well. So if you would have like a tool like this to guide you on when to get out, I think that's where you could have taken some profit and get out already, right? Even look at this, right? Even so, maybe if you have got in previously like $300, I say I'm not too sure where you got in, but let's say previously you got in $300 here. Wow, very nice, huh? Then you start to pump. And then when you see a bearish signal, all right, 1 and then 2, that was like around, same thing, around 450. I don't know why, around always 450, then it starts to sell down. It starts to see what we call a resistance level. So I think resistance quite clearly, if I can draw it for you, anything around that 475 to 450, right, over the past 1+2 years, right, it seems like that is where selling have always came back, right? So if you're looking at a target price or where you could potentially take some profit, well, anything above 450, right? 450 to 460 to 470, then you can see right over here, right? I don't know why. So every time you go there, then we start to sell down. Then same thing over here, we sell down, and also last month also sell down, right? So 450 to 470. Okay, that's where you can take some profit, right? And that's where also we got some bearish red color 1GT signals coming out, and then you start going down, correct? So that's where you could take some profit, right? Okay, now let's take a look at your next question, okay? Whereby, is it starting to rebound now, or maybe starting to turn around, okay? So I would say that right now, well, you can clearly see that we had 2 1GT bearish signal, right? Since like January, this one even before the US-Iran war already came out here, so it was like 440, 450, right? And came down, right? So there isn't any bullish signal coming out. I mean, there's no, they can see this, right? Don't have, right? I mean, let's say you come out over here, then it will be good, all right? Don't have, okay? But if it comes out, I think that will be a better confirmation of a reversal of a rebound. But now, if you ask me, it hasn't come out yet, all right? When will it come out? I also don't know, all right? But when it come out, then I will surely know. Okay, if it come out, then we can see it come out. So I would think that right now, if I can just maybe turn on the trailing resistance level, we are seeing, I would say, some resistance near the 400 psychological resistance level. You can see this is a trailing resistance that followed Tesla as it moved down from January. You go down, you also follow it go down, right? But you don't follow too closely. You give it some space to breathe, right? Down, flat down. This is a trailing resistance level, and it's right now around the 400, right? So my take is this, right? In terms of, we're not entirely out of the woods, but I think some support have came out near 340 to 350, okay? But if you want more confirmation of a turnaround, of a reversal, all the way back up to your, 470, 500 level, where I say a lot of selling always came back, right? Well, if we can break the 400, all right, if you break the 400, I think that's where we'll trigger a new 1GT bullish signal. If the green line by then also start to turn up, like as I see, like here, then like start to turn up, then got bullish signal, then even better. All right, that is where even a potential long position can be taken to ride the reversal, right? So I think for you, what happens is that by right, if you see a bearish signal, you get out, take some profit, all right, then now get ready to get back in again. But now, because if you hold all the way down, then you probably wouldn't have the bullet to get back in. Does it make sense, right? So good to always take some profit, get out near resistance, especially if you see a bearish signal, be patient, wait for the time, come back in again, and ride the next reversal back up. All right, so I don't have time to share the whole strategy, right? But as I say, guys, today, right, it will just be, about talking about your stocks and just giving a quick opinion. If you want to find a bit more of the entire One Good Trend strategy and how we use a tool like this, the 1GT Pro Indicator, right, that gives you an idea on any stocks, any asset classes, even the market, in seconds, you can attend a free webinar, right? Free webinar. The link is right in the chat. The team Z just placed the link in the chat, right? That's where I can't wait to share with you guys. We don't have one next week or next week. I think maybe in May next month we have one webinar. Check it out. I can't wait to break it all down for you even more. All right, Ken. Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Z, right, to cover the next. So I've covered like the very first stock, Tesla. Let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock today, right? Z, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let me just switch up my screen over here. Okay, I hope all of you guys can see my screen. And the next stock that I'll be covering will be, I think two of you guys were asking about this stock, right? Micron, right? James was asking about Micron. Good morning, team. Can share Micron or Western Digital? I did not hold any of these two stocks, but thinking of buying in at a good entry price to ride the AI semicon rally. Kindly advise. Okay, so James is thinking about buying. Don't have any holdings yet, right? Then I think I saw Geneva, right? Geneva mentioned that you bought Micron at 408. Is it time to accumulate? So you are thinking about buying also, but you're already holding some position. You want to add on more, right? Okay, so let's take a look at Micron first, right? Let's take a look at Micron. All right, so Micron at this point in time, of course, always first thing first, we always like to go back to the basics, right? Whereby we want to make sure that we want to buy when the stock is actually in an uptrend, right? We don't want to buy when the stock is actually in a downtrend, right? So first thing, when we look at the trend, definitely I think this, the Micron, the trend, right, based on the moving averages, right, it still looks pretty okay, right? Longer term uptrend, actually, red and the blue line are heading up, right? Green line, short term trend. Can see that it was actually previously going up, and then after that, the war actually happened, right? The geopolitical tension rises, and then it started to flatten out, right? It didn't compare to some of the other stocks, right? You can see that some of the other stocks really did quite a bit, and you can see that even the moving averages, right, the short term actually crossed below the red and the blue line. But whereas for Micron, it seems to be holding up pretty well, right? It went sideways, right? It went sideways. I mean, of course, we also did see a 1GT bearish signal coming out right over here on the 26th of March, right? But just to recap, right, just to let you guys know, when we see a 1GT bearish signal, it does not tell us, or it does not mean that the stock will crash, right? It just means that there is indeed more selling pressure returning, right? And we actually see that actually happening, right? With the price action, where price actually really pull back, right? And it's tested a couple of the support levels that we've drawn over here, right? So in terms of trend wise, I think definitely for Micron, it still look pretty stable, right? Still look pretty stable. And in fact, over the past couple of days, I think actually on the 9th of April, right? 9th of April, we actually see a new 1GT bullish signal coming out, right? There was a bearish, and then now there's a bullish signal coming out, right? And price, you can see that it indeed surged and rebounded back up from the support level, right? So let's take a look at some of the support level, because if you are thinking about buying, of course, we want to take note of where the support level are. Why? It's because support levels are typically where potentially buyers actually return to support the prices and push prices back up, right? So when we think about buying, we want to buy essentially near support levels rather than resistance level, right? Because if we buy near resistance level, typically we will hear clients or people will be saying, once I buy already, the stock immediately come down, right? Why? It's potentially because you could be buying near resistance rather than buying near support. So we want to know where are the support levels at to know where potentially are the zones we can set some price alert to accumulate some positions or even to enter some position. Okay, so for Micron, now we take a look at the support, right? So as you can see, based on the price action from 2026, don't have to go too far, 2026 to where we are at now, can see that right over here, right, I've drawn one level around this 320. Can you see that this 320, this was where previously prices actually went sideways for a bit, hold above this level, and here, this was when the war actually happened. Price actually came all the way down. Prices then rebounded back up from this 320, right? Buyers came in to support and push the price back up. So definitely 320, you can see that there's some support here. But along the way, because all these support levels, right, it doesn't stay stagnant, because as price move, market investors, the sentiment of every stock will change accordingly, right? So support level will actually change, right? And this is where we started to see, after when price, 2026, prices move onwards February, and this is where we start to see that potentially the support level could have been raised to a next level, right? Around this 350 to about this 360, right? Can you see that this level right over here? Profit taking happened, push prices back down, and this was the level that 360 was where buyers returned once again, and it returned higher than 320, right? Means buyers are willing to buy at higher prices near 360. So I would say that 360 could potentially be the new higher support that we are looking at, from 320 to raise to 360 as price continue on, right? Continue on. And where are we at now, right? Price as of last night, it actually closed at 457, right? 457. So when price actually consolidated sideways, when you can see that price actually move sideways, when there's a consolidation happening, there definitely will be support and resistance, because consolidation, it moves sideways, right? So we know that 360, this is where the support is, right? But consolidation, what about resistance? It's very clear that the resistance will be somewhere around here, right? This 450, can you see this 450 here? This previously was actually the resistance where selling pressure came in, profit taking happened, where we can see multiple times selling pressure was there to push price back down, right? So 450, I would say around this zone is actually a resistance, right? Back in January all the way to April. But right now, as of last night, just now we said price closed at 457. So I would say that this level, I should change it to a green, right? Because price is above this 450, right? And right now, it is looking to test this support again. It broke above it, right? And I believe that it's testing the support at this point in time. Could it be a false breakout like what we have seen here? It could be, right? So the key thing now, I think to monitor, right, and for us to actually take note of will be two things. Number one is to see over the next couple of days or weeks, right? The next week or so, can price continue to stay firmly above this 450, turning this 450 to be a new higher support, which is raised from 360. That's number one. Because if you know that price is able to hold and stay above, we are able to find new higher support. What does it tell you, or what does it suggest? It tells you that buyers are willing to buy at even higher prices, right? And that could potentially be one of the zone that we could be looking at to position ourselves for entry, because this 450 has turned from a resistance to become a firm new higher support. But number one, we got to watch for where price can hold above this 450 or not, right? Now, I only have 1 to 3 days, 3 days worth of data, right? Definitely, the longer you monitor, the more days you actually watch for, because people usually ask, so how many days must I see for price to hold above this level or not? The longer you monitor, the more days you monitor, of course, the confirmation will be higher, right? But the cons is that, you could be buying at a bit of a higher prices, more of a premium, right? But the second thing that we want to monitor, that's just the first thing. The second thing is to watch for this 20 days moving average to start showing you signs of it pointing back up. Because if that actually happens, it will mean that the short-term strength is actually aligning with the longer term. Because the longer term, I don't have to worry about it, right? Red and the blue line is definitely pointing up. The green line now, it's still kind of going sideways. It has not really shown me signs of it pointing back up yet. So two things. One is for price to hold above 450 firmly, and second thing is for 20 days moving average to show signs of it pointing back up, and potentially that is where we could see another leg up, right? Towards where? Then that is where you'll be asking, then if like that, what is my next target, right, that I want to look at, right? So the next potential target that we could be looking at could be around 550, right? And how do we actually derive that? So some of you guys can actually use a range projection, right? You can see that some of the range projection, you could be doing it from the 320 because it's a valid support. The next one you could also be using from 360 to about 450, and we actually project it up, and you can see that it's roughly around this level, right? And 550 is a psychological level as well. So if prices is actually able to break and hold firmly above this 450 potential upside target, we could be looking towards, maybe it could be towards the next level around 550, where some selling pressure could potentially return as well, right? So overall, definitely, I think that Micron at this point in time definitely still look pretty good, right? And that's where you can potentially set some price alert here, around the 450 to maybe about 451, 52, 53, 54, at this zone, right? Because it is not a specific point, it's always a zone, okay, that we are looking at. And that is where, potentially some buying pressure could hopefully return, right? And we could see the next leg up towards 550 if the support hold and we see short-term strength returning. Okay, so that would be for Micron. I hope that gives Geneva and James, right, some idea of where you can potentially look at and what confirmations would we want to look out for before taking a position. Okay, so with that, back over to you, Joey, to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Great analysis there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right, and that would be asked by Mugyatri right over here. Right, thank you so much. Right, 1GT has helped me to navigate in choppy US market. I think probably Yatri, you have access to my 1GT Pro indicator. All right, so very good. Later we'll look at it. Okay, I'm staying very cautious and put back for now. Can we look at LHX? All right, I think the name would be L3 Harris Technologies. All right, you bought at 354.70. Very good. Thanks for giving us a bit of context, guys. As I said, those of you who give us a bit of context, you spend a bit of time and effort to type out, we will confirm give you more priority lah. Oh, okay. So now I feel it may go down more before running. So you bought, right? Now it's 353. You bought at 354. Okay, like around here lah. Oh. Okay. So let me just go to hide your comments because it's a bit too big. And there we go. Okay. So let's take a look at it, right? So you're afraid that you got in, right? Is it going to come down? Is it going to be bearish? Or let's take a look at it right now. So I would say for L3 Harris Technology, I mean, I already turned on my 1GT Pro indicator, right? So in a matter of seconds, I say any stocks, pump. There we go, clarity, right? So in a matter of seconds, we got bullish signals coming out. I'll not go too far, but since May last year, pump, we got a bullish signal, another one, then we all the way up. When you see a bearish, then you don't rush to get in. You be patient. You wait first, okay? Wait for what? Wait until you see this one, pump. All right. Then another one come out like, February as well, right? And there we go. How many percent would that be? I mean, from the signal that came out in December, I would say to now about 24%, about 3 months. Okay, ma. All right. Okay. So let's take a look. So you got in. Of course, you've got in here December around 280 plus. That would be better lah, cheaper lah, right? But never mind. I mean, you've got in somewhere around here as it was consolidating. I think that's still fine, right? But let's see, why am I still bullish on this stock right now? Well, first of all, you can see that the red and the blue line, so 100 days moving average, red line, above the blue line. So the longer term trend is up, all right? So we always want to take trades that are along or in the same direction as the longer term trend. Why? Because it's harder to be wrong, right? We're kind of like going with the tide, right? But if the long term trend is down, right, red going down, blue going down, and then red below the blue, you come out bullish signal or what? Also, I wouldn't want to buy. You come out like some bullish candlestick, also I wouldn't want to buy. Why? Because you're going against the tide, right? It might be bullish for 1 week, 1 month, or a few days, right? But overall, the longer term trend is down, right? So if you're with the longer term trend, it's even better, right? That's even better, right? That's where you have a higher winning probability, right? Of course, that's just one confirmation. But if you have other confirmations coming out, like the green 20 days moving average. Look at the green line. It started to turn up, all right, from December, January. Of course, in February and March, it went sideways. So I would say the short-term trend is a bit sideways for now. Like it's consolidating, it's resting for a while, all right? But it's okay because when the war started in March, everybody was going down. Bearish signal was being triggered, but this stock was holding quite well. No bearish signal, all right? It was just supported quite well. I would say maybe above that 340, I think 340 would be a pretty good support level that we have rebounded from about 2 weeks back as well. So I think it was holding quite well, even though, the market was selling off in March when the US-Iran conflict started. All right, so holding quite well. So bullish signals coming out, short-term trend up, turning flat. I would say still okay. All right, resistance-wise would be around that $380, right? So 380, you can see that's where we will become like touch came down over the past 2 months. So the range is quite clearly from 340 to 380. It's like a $40 range lah, $40. So you want to try to get in near 340, right? Why? Because that's near the support mark, right? Because if you get in the middle of like 340 and 380, then it's like 360, right? Then you're like in the middle of nowhere. All right, we want to be near what we call a support level. That's where buyers could come back. That's where we can see some bargain hunting previously. All right, and it will be what we call a better, more conservative entry with a higher reward to risk ratio as well. All right, a higher reward to the downside risk. Right, so a good entry will be anywhere near that 340 lah. All right, but never mind. I mean, since you entered already, it's fine. Okay, but let's take a look at it in terms of the. Okay, so let me just go and put a question. Right, you feel that it may go down more before running. So I think that it looks okay. I mean, it looks okay. Anything above 340 looks fine. In fact, what we could do is to turn on. So 340 is a horizontal support that I've drawn, right? I could also turn on what we call the trailing support level, right over here, pump. So as I say, this trailing support, right, gives the stock the space, right? So last year in April, you can see, right, when we got the first 1 GT bullish signal coming out, a second one popping out as well, right? But when the first one popped out, we got a trailing support. What is a trailing support? Right over here, a trailing support is this line. Okay, let me just put this yellow color, right? Is this line right over here, right? Following the price as it moves up. It gives it the space to breathe. It accounts for the volatility of a stock, right? You go up some more, then I follow you some more, right? But don't follow too closely. You give it some space, huh? Okay. So as long as you're above it, you're fine. All right. But one Friday, you can see we went below it. We got a bearish signal. The green also turned down a bit. Then maybe get out first, take some profit, all right? But if you're above it, then chill, relax, all right? We give you the space. In fact, you go near it also can, but don't go below, right? Can? Okay, so over the past few months, since December, same thing, we got a bullish signal, a trailing support pop up, flat, follow, right? Then now it remains flat, all right? So you must be, Joey, how come now you never follow and go up already? Because the stock also never go up, so nothing to follow, all right? So it just remains flat, all right? But are you above it? Still above, right? And in fact, it coincides with also where the $340 is, right? In fact, last month in February as well, we neared it, buyers came up and pushed it back up. So 340 would be a very critical level, I would say. As long as we stay above 340, I think it still looks good. That's even where some bargain hunting could come back again, all the way back towards that 380 psychological resistance. And if if we consolidate a little bit more, up and down and up and down, up and down, and one Friday we boom, all right, we break the 380, right? If I don't know when, but let's say if we break the 380, we would trigger a new 1 GT bullish signal, and that would be even more momentum, all right? That could set up the next phase. Higher target could be raised to 400, even to 420. All right, so yeah, so just take note of the resistance level 380. Okay, Ken. So I hope that helps. Tri, let me pass on the mic to Z, all right, to cover the next stock. Z, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so the next stock that I have over here would actually be an ETF, right? Quite an interesting one by Ray. Ray is asking, I'm looking to buy IGV, and it seems to be recovering from the long-term downtrend. So I went and take a look. What is IGV, right? So for those of you here, we can all learn together. IGV is this ETF. So it's not a stock, right? So basically, right, this 1 GD Pro indicator, right? As long as you are able to pull out any asset classes, not just one stock, right? But ETF is also okay, right? We are looking at ETF now, and you are able to actually see and apply the 1 GD framework with this as well. And you can also see that is the bullish and bearish signal, right? So then I'm just curious, like, oh, okay, so if this is an ETF, right, it definitely will be tracking something. What exactly is it tracking, right? So I'm just taking a look right over here. You can see that this ETF is actually tracking 112 total holdings, and the top 10 holdings are all of this, right? Oracle, Microsoft, Palantir, Salesforce, Palo Alto, AppLovin, CrowdStrike. So basically, it is a tech software ETF. Like, you just track all of these tech stock companies, right? And at this point in time, Ray is thinking about buying, right? Thinking about buying. So when we think about buying, of course, first thing is I want to make sure that the stock is in an uptrend, right? But then when I look at this, the first thing I see is, wow, the longer term trend is actually pointing down, right? And the red is actually below the blue. The red cross below the blue. So generally, in terms of longer term, right, if we look at this, not very ideal for us to think about buying, right? But maybe you might be thinking about buying because maybe you have the 1 GT indicator or the access, right? And you see that there's a bullish signal, right? But usually, even when we see a bullish signal, we also want to take a look at the bigger picture, not just purely focusing on the signal itself. If there's a 1 GT bullish signal, but I know that the trend, the longer term trend is still down, there's still no signs of reversal back up yet, then potentially you might want to put in your watch list and to continue monitoring this stock, right? So the thing is that for this, at this point in time, we do know that the longer term trend is still down, right? Definitely, we don't have to bluff ourselves. Both are still pointing down, right? But the short-term trend, can see that it was going down. It goes sideways, go down, and now let me see. Is it still? It's kind of flattening out, right? Can you all see here? I've just zoomed in super big. you'll see it's kind of flattening out, right? And we do see some short-term strength returning, whereby there is a reason why a 1GT bullish signal came out, but longer-term trend is still down, right? So when we typically we don't want to think about buying during this point in time. We want to think about buying when we are seeing like this, right? Let me show you, right? We use the same stock, right? And we see what actually happened. Right, previously, back in 2022, 2023, when we do this, not saying that history will actually repeat itself and it copy-paste exactly the same, but what we are learning from this, right, is what are some of the confirmations you want to see to watch out for the reversal before thinking about taking action to buy, right? So as you can see here, 2022, 2023, this period, right, IGV, this was actually also definitely, we are seeing a very clear sign of a downtrend, right? 100 days actually crossed below the 200 days as well. Red and the blue are also pointing down, right? And of course, there are periods whereby you see the 20 days moving average, right? It could be going sideways for a bit, short-term strength come back up. But overall, you take a look at it, the longer-term trend is actually still pointing down, right? Still pointing down. It can go up, go down, go up, go down, go sideways. But longer-term trend, we want to make sure that the long-term and the short-term is aligned before we think about taking action, right? So take a look at this right over here. That was 2022, 2023 downtrend, right? 2023 onward, this was where we start to see some signs of reversal. And when we start to see some signs of reversal, that is potentially where we want to think about positioning ourselves for entry, right? What do we see? What do we want to spot? Definitely, number one, we want to spot for the red actually crosses above the blue, right? And that's where we know that, the longer term trend is starting to turn back up. I'm giving more, the ETF is giving me more signals that the longer term trend is starting to turn back up and is looking better, definitely better than it was previously. It's going down, right? Now it's turning back up, right? Short-term trend pointing up, crossing above both the longer-term moving average. And that also gives us and indicates to us that short-term, there is also strength, right? So I want to see long-term and short-term being aligned and green above the red, above the blue, then that is where, we can potentially position ourselves for entry. But of course, some people might say, hey, I buy in here at around 45. I can buy in here at $48, $50, but then now the price has gone up to $58, $60, then I buy in, it's more expensive, right? Definitely it's more expensive, but at least you get more confirmation of the trend reversing back up. Because at this point in time, you buy, can the stock continue to go down? It can continue to go down, right? Who says cannot continue to go down? It can continue to go down. If it breaks support, more selling pressure come back in, it can continue to, the downtrend can continue, right? But of course, for this, it actually reverses back up. And these are the signs that we want to look out for. So back to where we are at now, right? So at this point in time, I think not yet, right? Not yet. Why? Even though we see a bullish signal appearing, but longer term trend, I still do not have that confirmation. And maybe the thing that you want to monitor also, if you really, really, really want to trade this counter, right? Maybe the resistance that you want to take note of at this point in time, I think the immediate resistance would be around definitely this $88 as well. If prices hit up to approach this $88, right? And I would not be surprised to see some selling pressure returning, because right over here, you can see that back in March, right here, right? You can see selling pressure return and push price back down to test this support around this 75 to 76. So this 75, 76, right, will be a very crucial support that you want to watch out for as well. If prices were to reverse back down, and test this level, if this level is unable to hold, is it likely that we will continue to see the downtrend going down and the 20 days moving average could also start pointing back down as well? And that is where we know that the downtrend, right, in terms of the long term, short term, is actually still intact. No signs of reversal yet. So I wouldn't want to be buying when the stock is actually heading down, but rather when I have signs and confirmation of the trend reversing back up based on the moving averages and also prices breaking resistance. Okay, so those are the signs that definitely I want to be watching out for, Ray. Okay, and perhaps if I don't know whether you're holding on to any position now, but hopefully not, right? Hopefully not, and you're not sitting on any losses. So if you're thinking about buying, I think nothing wrong to take a look at software stocks, definitely, right? Because a lot of them, I would say that a lot of them definitely, if you are looking at all of this, I would say a lot of them are definitely at very attractive prices, right? But the thing is that even though they are at attractive prices, we want to make sure that we are aligned with the trend, right? Even though you have conviction in the company, you also want to make sure that, hey, why not wait until the stock is actually going back up, right? You have conviction plus it's going back up, is even better, right? So those are the things that you want to watch out for, okay? So perhaps you can actually put it in your watch list, set some alerts, and to continue monitoring this stock, especially, you know, the key support level, whether can it continue to hold, and if prices were to consolidate sideways and start to reverse back up, that is where we will also start to see the moving averages giving us signals and indication, and then that is where we can potentially take some action. Okay, so that would be for IGV. Ray, I hope that helps to give you some clarity and also some of the mindset, right, of what is the framework and things that we want to look out for. Okay, so with that, back over to you, Joey, to cover the next US stock.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one. All right, and that would be, I think, the very first one of the first few comments. So you know what happens, guys, is that we'll look through all the chat messages, right? So even you type it right at the beginning, I will also spend the time to go through all the beginning messages, right? In terms of the stock that you're asking, and we'll try to cover it as well. Okay, Ken? So that would be Welltower, all right? CS, all right? Good morning, Welltower. You bought at 210. I think should be not $2.10, should be 210 now, all right? Now the price is 214, okay? And my immediate target is 225. Okay, so 225 right over here. Okay, good. So 225. What is the comment? Okay, so you got in, right? Now it's 214. You bought at 210, so only about $4 higher now. Okay, got some profits, but could it go even higher? All right. So your target 225 be lower, or maybe can be even higher, right? Why must 225? Why cannot be 240 or 250, right? Let's find out as well, lah. Oh, okay. So this is Welltower right over here. Definitely, at first glance, you can see this is definitely one of the stocks whereby it is in a very firm longer term uptrend, right? So let me just hide the comments, right? So very firm longer term uptrend. Why? Well, quite clearly you can see that the red line is pointing up, right? Blue line also pointing up. It's been pointing up since I don't know when, since like last year or what, right? So longer term trend is up, right? One of the stocks whereby you definitely want to, consider to buy to hold for longer term, right? So that's a longer term trend. However, doesn't mean your long term trend up means your short term trend is always up, right? Because the short-term trend could be like 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month can be down, right? And how do we tell the short-term trend? Well, we look at the green line. So you can see the green line when it's going down means that the short-term trend is down, right? You see over here, the green line turned down. Here also turned down. So the green line also can turn down on that, even though the long-term trend is up, all right? So the thing is this, right? Let me go to turn on very quickly to get another confirmations, all right, to guide you, all right? And in terms of the bullish and bearish signals, let's turn it on. There we go, right? So you can see that for Welltower, I will not go too far, but since like maybe 2024, April, we get pump, right? Every time you get the bullish signals plus the green line turn up, long-term trend already up, what happens? There we go, right? All right, here, 2 bullish signal, another 1, 2, 3, all right? There we go. Right? Every time you get bullish signals, you see the rally, it could be 10%, it could be 20%. I don't know. Like let's say this one from here to here, 20%. All right. This one, April from here to here, 49%. Right. So every time you get bullish signals, as I say, a bullish signal is just a bullish signal. Doesn't mean bullish signal means will surely go up, right? But if you get a bullish signal, not 1 plus, got 2, all right, plus other confirmations like the trend, right? Of course, we have a 7-step checklist that breaks it all down, right, in terms of the volume, candlestick, and all that. But if we get all these other confirmations together coming in, all right, aligned with that bullish signal, it's a different story, right? You can see for yourself what happened, right? 30%, 49%, there we go, right? So now let's take a look at what is happening right now. So over the past 1 month, we actually got a bearish signal, right? As I say, when the market sold off, right, in March due to the US-Iran conflict, right? Most of the stocks saw bearish signals, broke certain support, it came down, all right? And then we waited for some stability. And seems like over the past few days, right? In fact, last night, Thursday, 16 April, last night, okay, we triggered a new 1 GT bullish signal, all right? So congrats to you, right? Right? So I think you got in at what price? You got in at 210, right? Now it's 214, all right? Pretty good. We got a new 1 GT bullish signal. But I want to put your attention to this level right over here. I think this is a very critical resistance level, the 215. Look at it. 215 was where we were. We touched, we came down. In fact, somewhere in March, same thing. When the war started, we also come down, right? And now we are right over here. Okay. I don't know whether it will come down, but we got a bullish signal, so it's a little bit more bullish. So my take is this, right? If we can break the 215, all right? What do I mean by break? Break means we break above it. We go above 215, that means we go to 216, 217, 218, 219. I mean, above 215 lah, above 220 also can. That would be where we would trigger a new second 1 GT bullish signal potentially. All right, and that's where targets could be raised, right, all the way even higher. Right. So just now you mentioned that your target is 225. So I'm just a bit curious, like where you get 225, and like it's like just feeling one or what? I don't know. Right. Okay. So for me, I mean, very simple. Let's find out what could be a good target. What could be a good target, right? So for me, I mean, let's say if it breaks 215, it breaks 220. If you get out 225, it might be a bit too early, right? I think it could be even more bullish. It could hit even more. Why you want to get out when it can go up some more, right? So what could be a reasonable, decent target? Well, you could do a little bit of projection, all right? So right over here, what we could see is that since, I would say, December to January, where we're consolidating, we broke above this resistance level, right? So there was a little bit of a consolidation right over here. I would say somewhere from like 190 or maybe about 195, right over here, 195. Let's shift it up a little bit, right? Somewhere over here, right? So 195 to 215, right? So what we could do is to do a little bit of a projection right over here, all the way up. So it could be target, all right? Could be somewhere near 235, 240. I mean, let's just give a little bit of allowance. That could be where, I mean, just based on this little projection, right? That could be where a target be, right? From here all the way up to here, if we can break the 215 to 220 level. Does it make sense, Bob? All right. So that would be, I would say, for Welltower, right? Not too bad. We got triggered a 1 GT bullish signal last night. If the 215 resistance gives way, we may see another new 1 GT bullish signal. Even better for you, ride it even more, ride with conviction, ride with clarity. All right. Of course, take steps to protect your profits as well. And you can also take some profit as it approaches those next resistance anywhere from 240, 235. That could be where some selling can come back again. All right, so I hope that helps CS on Welltower. Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next stock. Z.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so the next stock that I have over here would be by Kunav, right? Kunav mentioned that I bought Oracle 190 and still holding. Price came down and now rising back up lah. So now should you hold or should you think about adding more position? Okay, so let's talk about Oracle at this point in time, right? So let me see, how many of you guys are still here with us? About 167. Okay, maybe about 170 of you guys lah. Okay, so maybe you guys can help me and Kunav out as well to do a little bit of interaction, so not so passive, right? You guys can actively participate also. Okay, so maybe let me ask you guys, right now, what do you guys think of the trend for Oracle? Maybe you guys let me know, like, are you guys like bullish, bearish, you know, you think that the trend is down, the trend is up? Let me know what are some of your thoughts, right? Let's see. What do you guys think about the trend for Oracle now? Do you guys think it's uptrend, downtrend? Let's see. Quinoa, long-term trend still down. Gerard, flat. Okay, Gerard say flat. Quinoa, long-term trend is still down. Okay, anybody else? Let's see. Long-term trend, Brandon, long-term trend down. Okay, long-term trend down. Somebody say Shah. Shah says up. Okay. Reversal up. Okay, let's see. Cynthia says up. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a look and break down Oracle, right? Because I think there is a lot of mixed thinking about the trend, right, for Oracle. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let me just put Kunav message up. Okay, over here. Right, so for those of you guys, right, who say long-term trend is down, right, I would definitely agree with you lah, because why? The rate, the rate, right, actually crossed below the blue, and the blue is still above it at this point in time, right? And the rate is still pointing down, right? Blue sloping down gently, I would say, but not as drastic as the rate yet, right? Not as drastic as the rate yet. So I would say that long-term trend, I'll agree with those of you who said long-term trend is down, definitely. But short-term wise, let's see, short-term trend. Let me zoom in. Short-term previously, of course, it was previously going down. As you can see the green over here, flattened out, and now starting to show signs of it turning back up, right? You can see that it is starting to turn back over the past couple of days, right? And we actually get two 1 GT bullish signal. I already turned on the signal, right? You can see for yourself, there's 1 GT bullish signal. And by the way, for those of you guys, who do not know where are we actually seeing all these signals, where is this 1 GT bullish signal coming from, Joey has actually extended, this 14 days free trial for you guys to try. If you guys want to try it out yourself, right, to take a look at the signals at the same time as us, as long as you have a TradingView account, you can actually click on this, apply the light version, right? And you can click on this buy and sell, and you will be able to see the signals as you can see on the chart, same like us, right? That's the free trial, free for 14 days, but of course, that's the light version, right? Whereby it doesn't have so many other in-depth functions, but you will be able to see the signals, okay? So back to this, So we actually see 1 GT bullish signal that is actually appearing right here. So it actually indicates, and it really tells us that, hey, there's actually short-term strength returning, right? But longer-term trend, I know at the back of my mind, it is actually still down, right? And price action-wise, over the past couple of months, from February all the way to where we are at now, price actually kind of like just consolidated sideways. Not too bad, right? And in fact, I would say that over here around 170, right? Can you see that there was some sort of resistance back here when price broke down in January? This 170 became a resistance. Here, somewhere in March, prices went back up, tested this 170 resistance, came back down, and recently it looked like it has managed to break above this 170. Whether will it hold or not, I don't know, right? It just broke back above it yesterday, 16, right? Now it's holding at 178. Whether can it hold above the 170 level, I'm not sure, right? And this would be the immediate support, I would say, to definitely watch out for Kunaf if you are monitoring this stock, and especially if you're holding on to this stock, right? Because you mentioned that you bought at about 190. So definitely, I think currently you're still sitting on some small losses, right? But you're thinking about, hey, because now you're seeing some short-term strength returning, should you think about buying more, right? Or you just, never mind, don't do anything, just hold on to whatever that you have, right? But I mean, of course, you bought at 190. You can see right over here, 200, right, actually is one of the psychological resistance. So, I mean, of course, it seems like you have bought quite near to this $200 level, right? So if prices were to actually rebound back up and hit to the 200, right, over here, actually, you should not be surprised if we start to see some selling pressure returning, because $200, number one, is a psychological level, okay? And number two, it is near a resistance, right? It's near a resistance. So if prices were to head back up to this level, I think we could potentially see some selling pressure returning as well, right? We could see some selling pressure returning as well. So in terms of if you are thinking about adding position, right? Adding on to your position, potentially, I think the zones or what are things that you could potentially monitor for would be if prices is able to break and hold above the $200 instead of right over here at this point in time, right? Because if it breaks and hold above the $200, right, this $200 essentially turn from a resistance to become a support. And by then, will you be able to see, the 20 days, the longer term trend, right? It could show more signs of it flattening out and stabilizing, right? And if prices really head up to 200, right, the short-term strength will definitely still be intact, right? So at least we are able to see longer-term stabilization and short-term strength returning, right? Rather than at this point in time, the longer-term trend, can you see that red line is actually still pointing down, right? It's actually still pointing down because at the end of the day, we want to catch a higher probability winning trade. And how do we want to do that is to make sure that we have as many confirmations as possible to make sure that we are on the right side of the trend, right? Okay, make sense? So at this point in time, I think right now, do have a plan in place because you already bought in at 190. Have a stop loss in place, right? Definitely, because you want to manage your downside. If prices were to continue, like if this is just a short-term rebound and prices continue to head down subsequently after that, something were to happen, then what is your plan? Where is your plan to actually get out, to manage your risk on the downside, right? That is what you want to think about as well. But in terms of adding on at this point in time, definitely watch out for the $200 resistance, right? Whether can we actually break and firmly hold above this $200 and we start to see signs of the longer term trend stabilizing, right? Stabilizing, and potentially that is where you can set some price alert, right? To set a price alert, very easy, right click, add alert, right? And you can set the price alert maybe at 201, 202, right? And you can alert yourself every time, only once, right? And you can actually choose whether you want to be alerted on app, notification, or even send an email. And once that's done, create, right? And that's where you can be alerted on price when it actually break and hold above this. But the next alert, I think the other alert that will be very, very useful would be to add an alert on the technicals, right, of this signals. So it's called a technical alert, and you can actually add both, right, a buy or a sell alert to alert you when there is another 1GT bullish signal coming out, giving you another layer of confirmation that, hey, potentially I want to take a look at this stock again and look at where are the support levels that I potentially can, accumulate, right, and create, right? So I hope that helped to give you some of the levels, right? Especially 170 will be the immediate support, $200 I would say will be the immediate resistance, and also to watch out for the moving averages, right? The longer term trend, as well as set some alerts. So that would then, potentially help you to give you more direction in terms of what you can potentially do with the existing positions that you're holding on to now. Okay, so that is for Oracle. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, and let's go. Okay, so next one will be on this company called ServiceNow. I think we have I saw there are two comments on ServiceNow. I think the first one would be right over here by Bill Fire. All right, so you talk about CRM first, CRM entry at 200, now holding paper loss, try cut. And you mentioned about now, right? Now entry 115, same problem. Right? So I believe you also bought now at $115, and maybe you went down a bit. All right, and should you cut? Right? Should you get out? So you got in at $115. So that is for ServiceNow. I think one more of you asking about ServiceNow as well. Let me just put it out. Yeah, right over here, Alfred. I bought now at 130, all right, so 130, okay, a slightly higher lah. So I think Bill Fire won in at 115, you got in 130, 135. Can share if I should sell at a loss and move on. Okay, so this is right up here. The code is NOW now, all right. The stock name is ServiceNow, right over here. Okay, so you can see that quite clearly, guys. I've really turned on the 1GT bullish and bearish signals in matter of seconds. 1, 2, 3, boom, there we go. All right, now let me know, guys, maybe before I talk about this stock what y'all think about this stock? Is it more up or more down? Type U for up, D for down, right? U for up, D for down. What do you guys think about this stock called ServiceNow? Do you think it's a little bit more up or more down? What do you guys think? Type in chat. Okay, quinoa a little bit more down. All right, Tiffy down as well. Down. A lot of you are saying it's like down. Cynthia down as well. All right, so down. Very good. All right, and the reason why I think you're saying down is because quite clearly, I mean, you've seen that we got a couple of like bearish signals. This was in November, guys. November, way before this whole US-Iran war. Nothing to do with the whole conflict, right? November. In fact, in July also we got a 1GT bearish signal. The green line turns down. Same thing, bearish signal. Green line turns down, and we started heading lower. All right, and quite clearly you can see that the longer-term trend for ServiceNow has also pointed down since last year, October. All right, look at the red line pointing down. Blue line also pointing down, right? So if you got long-term trend down, short-term trend down, bearish signal also come out. Question: buy for what? Makes sense? I mean, no other thing to buy, man. Right. So first of all, so back to your question. So yeah, so where is the comment? So I think two of you bought ServiceNow, right? 115 for Balefire, all right, and I think for Alfred, you got in at 130, right? So my question, so you got in 130, so maybe somewhere over here, 130, then maybe 115, all right. So the question is that if we get a lot of things that are pointing down, we don't want to buy lah, all right? We can buy things that are stronger, all right? There's bullish signal that is going up, right? Rather than things that is going down, right? So we never want to buy cheap stuff in the market, right? We don't want to have what we call that, or we don't want to be being trapped by the cheapness of a stock. All right, it goes down, you buy. Go down, you buy some more. Go down, buy some more. Until it's what? Bye to you. All right, so we don't buy because it's cheap. Okay, so you can see quite clearly in this case we got bearish signal and things are really going down. All right, but for ServiceNow, previously, if you ask me, like in 2024, okay, 2024, look at this, right? You got bullish, the long-term trend, red, blue also up, green also up. You want to buy, no problem. I will say go ahead. Oh, but now, not now, since October, November, opposite direction, right? So we don't want to buy. We don't buy. Okay, Ken? So that's the first thing, buy, right? We don't want to buy when it's weak lah. We don't want to buy. So I think how many of you can agree? How many of you can agree that sometimes it's also important, not always to buy, but also important to know when not to buy. All right, like certain things, you say, okay, some maybe, some okay, some can put in the watch list, some can, some confirm cannot, some confirm cannot one. How many of you agree with me? Type A, if you agree with me, guys, sometimes it's important to know when not to buy. Not everything you can buy, right? Of course, you got money, you also can buy anything, but we don't anyhow waste money, all right? It's important to know when not to buy. Does it make sense, Bob? All right, and this is definitely one of the stocks where we definitely don't want to buy, right? Why? Because we've got bearish signals coming up, okay? So back to your question, right? Should I sell and cut loss and move on? Well, quite clearly, you can see that we got a bullish signal coming out, right? Even though we got a bullish signal coming out, right? The short-term trend turned up, but overall, you can see the long-term trend was down, all right? So went up a little bit, 1 week, 2 weeks, and then what happens? 2 more bearish signals actually got triggered. Green line also started to point down again, and there we go, right? So we're kind of like selling lower now. So I think it's good to have a plan. Normally, as I say, we don't want to buy, but no choice. Since you buy already, all right, take note that we have also broken the $100 psychological support level. We went down to 80, rebound a bit, but we're still below the 100 lah. So anything below 100, it is not so good, right? It's not so good. In fact, I could turn on the trailing resistance level to see what it says, right? It is where around 104, all right, somewhere near 100 to 104. So anything below 100 or 105, I would say that the trend, would still be down. All right, sellers could still be looking. All right, and there could even be more selling. All right, especially if the $80 also give way. It will be another phase down. Right, so we don't want to just keep on going all the way down to 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. No, we don't want to do that. All right, so I think it's good to have a plan. It's good to plan. Should I sell and loss or move on? So yeah, I definitely need to have a plan to get out, right? First of all, because we have bearish signals, things are definitely pointing more down than up, like what everybody is saying as well. All right, and I think people agree with me as well. Thank you for typing the chat. Agree, right? That we don't want to buy when it's just not in our favor. Okay, so that is for ServiceNow. All right, okay, Bill. I entered 115 on the uptrend. I thought it's a reversal. So I think you saw the bullish signal. Very good. It went up a little bit, but you can see the long-term trend was down. Right, long-term trend was down. So we also try not to go against the long-term trend. So yeah, in the short term can go up 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But what happens? Sellers can come back again because the long-term trend is still down, right? And that's what we're saying right now. So still want to have a plan. All right, of course, if you got in there, you want to take a quick trade up for 1 week, 2 weeks, against the long-term trend. But for short term, you just want to hurry up, quickly go in and go out. Right? We would want to do that, but I mean, if you really want to do that, but make sure you have a plan, because if the long-term trend, the seller starts coming back, bearish signal starts appearing, that's where you don't want to have that. Oh, because bullish signal come out, so I just want to buy. But then you never see the bearish signal already come out anymore, right? It already come out, so by right, should also get out lah. Make sense? All right. So I hope that helps. All right. So this is for ServiceNow. Let me pass on the mic to Z. And before I pass on the mic to Z, I think Z mentioned briefly just now as well. Like, we actually do what we're using right now will be the One Good Trend Pro indicator. Pro means professional, it's a more advanced one. All right, we have a little bit more features and stuff like that. Right, we have the moving averages. Of course, I can turn on everything, pump, and then the chart will be like boom, like super messy, right? But we keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. If you want to find a bit more, you can attend a free webinar. But I want to share with you guys on this light indicator, which is a simpler version of the indicator that we are using. All right, so it's a One Good Trend light, not the pro, the light one. It's like you can turn on the very first box and the 3 moving averages. So you can pretty much see what we're seeing right now, like this screen, the signals and the 3 moving averages to guide you on when to get in, when not to get in, when to get out and so. All right, so the link is right in the chat, right? So test drive this One Good Trend light indicator for free for 14 days. The link is right in chat, right? I'm sure it can help many of you to know what to do, right? I mean, if you want to get in and you turn on, you see a bearish signal, then maybe you don't get in first or you wait until you see the bullish one, then you get in, right? But of course, if you want to get in, then you turn on, you see 2 bullish signals come out the past week, then even more confident Makes sense. You feel a bit more lucky, got some support, right? So I hope that helps in terms of the this tool that can help you to take the emotions away from trading, all right, and guide you on entry and exit as well. Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock. Z.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, I 100% agree with what Joey mentioned in terms of like, the analysis for ServiceNow, especially when the longer term trend is down. I think that's something that you want to be a bit more cautious, even though we do see some strength returning. Okay, make sure, regardless of what, have a plan in place. Okay, so now I will talk about the next stock, and that would be by Damien, right? Damien is asking about RTX, bought in at 201. Seems like there's a lot of downward pressure this couple of days. Appreciate your thoughts. Okay, so let me just remove this first, all right? Okay, so let's take a look at RTX right now. So Damien mentioned that there is a lot of downward pressure this couple of days, right? So like what Joey mentioned earlier on with regards to the 1GT Pro indicator or even the 1GT Lite indicator, you are able to see, right, for yourself. Right now, I've already turned it on, and what do we see? We do see two 1GT bearish signal appearing, right? And I think that definitely aligns with what Damien had mentioned, right? Downward pressure in the past couple of days, especially so, the further confirmation that we can get is that the short-term trend, right? 20 days moving average, can you see that it has also started to point down, right? So in terms of the signals, in terms of the moving averages, definitely, Damien, I do agree with you, right? There's a lot of downward pressure, right? But then you mentioned that you bought in at, let's see, 201. So last night, price closed at about 195, right? So definitely sitting on some losses. So I'm not too sure whether if you manage to do your position sizing and also have a plan in place, right? Like if prices were to continue to head lower, where is the level that you want to stop loss at, right? And typically when we look at this and we think about our stop loss level, of course, we want to look at support level, right? Just now I mentioned that support level, we want to think about support level when we think about buying, right? We want to buy near a support. But what happens when that support level give way? What happens when selling pressure come in and break that support level, turning it to become a resistance? That is where potentially you want to have your stop loss in place as well, and to set your stop loss level slightly below the support level to manage your downside risk, right? Because like I've mentioned, if buyers don't come back at the support and sellers come in, your support level broken, what does it tell you? It tells you that maybe now the buyers are not willing to come in and buy all these prices really, right? And if I'm holding on to a position, perhaps that is what I want to think about, reducing exposure or getting up as well. Because why would I want to be holding on to a stock whereby people want to keep selling, right? So support level is important. And based on RTX, at this point in time, in terms of the support level, we can very clearly spot that there is some sort of support at this 185, right? Can you see it right over here? Buying pressure come in, prices bounce back up, rebounded back up, right? 185. And right here as well, before prices actually broke out above this level, you can see that this week over here, it was tested as a resistance, right? Once it broke out above, selling pressure come back in very quickly and test this level as a support. So you can see, as long as a level, right, is being tested multiple times, be it tested as a support, be it tested as a resistance, those are the levels that we want to give a bit more weight to, right? And I would say that right now, 185 right over here, I think this would be one of the support level that Damien perhaps you want to watch out for, or set some price alert, right? And also even think about your stop loss plan, because if prices were to continue hit lower and break firmly below this 185, unable to hold above it, then very likely potentially we might see another 1GT bearish signal appearing again, right? And of course, at that point in time, your 20 days moving average will definitely still be pointing down, right? It will not be pointing up if the price continue to hit even lower, right? So I think, Damien, for now, right, at this point in time, definitely have your plan in place, have your stop loss in place, especially, we know that the short-term weakness is coming back, right? It's coming back. So we want to see whether if buyers are actually able to return near the 185 to rebound back up, right? And of course, resistance-wise, right now, you can see that around this 205 right over here, right? Can you see that this 205, right? Many times prices actually test this level, and you can see that previously based on the candlestick, right? Do you see like candlestick with multiple long upper shadows? When we see candlestick with multiple long upper shadows, right, it tells us that, especially near resistance zone, it tells us that selling pressure is actually there, right? So I would say that immediate resistance that we are looking at this point in time will be around this 205. Right, definitely where we saw selling pressure previously return multiple times, right? If prices is able to break and hold above this 205, then we talk about the next upside, right? When we talk about the next upside towards where? Towards perhaps around this 215 or even to a 215, 16, this level right over here where previously it was the high, right? Back in March, Okay, but step by step, right? Right now, price is at 195. So before we even think about, wow, price breaking out above this level, going to the target, because usually people only like to think about wins, right? People like to think about profits, right? People don't like to think about losses, but that is the most crucial thing. You have to think about your trading plan to manage your downside risk, especially if the plan doesn't go according to what you wish for, because the market doesn't care what you think, right? So always have a plan in place to manage your downside risk. Okay, Damien? So those are some of the levels that you can take note of and to set some price alert, and hopefully it helps you with formulating your trading plan. Okay, so that would be for RTX, and now I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, and that would be, I think a few of you were asking about this stock called Broadcom. The code is AVGO. All right, so user EF2UR, right? Okay, so you mentioned a few stocks, right? So the first one, holding AVGO, Nvidia, AMD with profits, awesome, right? These 2 weeks saw these stocks very active. All right, how high can it go during this semiconductor fever? All right, so good, you're holding on to it, it's moving up. Can it go even higher? All right, should you take some profit? At what level and stuff, right? So let's take a look in a bit. I'll just focus on AVGO, Broadcom, Tesatio, right? AVGO, it's moving up steeply. Can we take a look if it's good to enter, or we wait to see if it breaks above that 413? All right, okay, so Tesatio, you haven't got in yet, haven't entered, but you're looking to see if you can enter, or maybe if it breaks certain level, that's where a better confirmation could come out, right? So let's go ahead to find out on Broadcom, AVGO. So you can see quite clearly for Broadcom, I'll not go too far, but I mean, we had some bearish signals January last year, February another one, right? All the way down. Don't want to buy now. So you see bearish signal, be patient, okay? Then what happens in April, May another one, then September another one. There we go, all the way up, right? So it was quite bullish. In fact, one of the top performing stocks last year from April all the way to October, okay? But somewhere around December, right, when there's some selling in the technology sector in the US, okay, you can see that we triggered some bearish signals coming out, like 1, 2, 3, all right, 4 bearish signals coming out since like December, right? That was even before the whole US-Iran war in March, also December, January, February, it was actually a bit weak already, right? Not say very weak, but we got some bearish signal, right? The green line also turned down a little bit, right? Down, maybe flat, all right, but not up, correct? Okay, so it's like consolidating a little bit to the downside, all right, and maybe we found some support around that 300 psychological level, which is okay, right? So that's where the green line, after finding that support, you can see the green line started to flatten out. It is no longer like, of course, if we keep on, like go down and down and down, please be careful, right? Then we have a few more bearish signals, please be careful, right? But no, right? The green line actually started to flatten out. It means that some good support have came out, right? And it's a good sign of a potential, not say surely will reverse, but a potential reversal could be on the cards if we get some confirmations, if we get another bullish signal like this one, you can see over here, palm, then right? So over the past week, the if become the real lead, right? No longer if, right? We indeed got some, not one or two, we got 1 GT bullish signals coming out, and that was on the last Wednesday, guys. Not this Wednesday. Last Wednesday, 8 April, it came out. In case you're still wondering, of course, Wednesday come out last Thursday. All right, we come out, then you start to go up already, right? But that is where we got the confirmation of that reversal. All right, that's where these 3-4 months of very boring going down bearish finish already. All right, we started to see that reversal because we got that confirmation. All right. Okay. So back to your question, right? Tesatio is moving up strictly. Can we take a look if it's good to enter or wait to see if it breaks? Well, I would say that it's definitely a bit more bullish. Of course, you've entered like last Wednesday or last Thursday when we got the bullish signals after the confirmation, that would be a bit cheaper. That was like maybe around like 340 something. Okay, but never mind. Now it's like 398. Which went up a bit really, but doesn't mean cannot go up some more. All right, it can still look good. Why? Because bullish signals are out. Long-term trend, look at the red and blue, it has been up since last year. So long-term trend, okay, maybe a bit sideways, but potentially could start to point back up. The short-term trend, the green line, all right, look at the green line. So the green line, as I say, will be another confirmation, right? The green line was like down, all right? But last week, not this week, last week, right, when the bullish signal came out, Wednesday, Thursday, last Wednesday, Thursday, already started to point up. Of course, now point-ups are more, but last week already started. Okay, so that is where you could get in a little bit cheaper, but never mind. All right, in terms of an entry, what I would say that right now we could be seeing a bit of resistance from 400 all the way to that 410 level, right? You can see that was where we were right over here in December, right? Around the 400 to 410. I can see that was where we attempted to push higher, but sellers came back and we kind of like sold down. Okay, so I think like 410, 400. That is a very key level. So if you want to wait for more confirmation, I think that could, we could wait for a break above those resistance. That's where the next phase, we would even get a new bullish signal if that happens. I think that's where we could see the next phase of upside, maybe all the way to like 450, even to the 500 as well. All right, after 400 to 410, right? So now we're like 398, which is kind of like just below the 400 lah. So yeah, if you want to wait for more confirmation, you could do that as well. All right. So next, I think the next question, right, would be like holding AVGO, all right? How high can it go during this semiconductor fever? Well, I think that there is definitely more upside for me. I would say that, only thing now is the resistance at 400 to 410. If that gives way, a new bullish signal appears, we could see targets revise higher. We could see targets revise higher, right? I mean, if I can do a little bit of a projection, right, you can see that we tend to do this like range. Look at this right over here. So a bit of like a 300 to 360, a $60 range, right? Something like that, right? Over here, you could project it up here. Right? It could be anything, right? To 450 to 460. That could be, let's keep it a little bit more, let's keep it simple, right? Let's say maybe to 460. I think 460 could be where, some selling could come back again. All right, that could be a potential profit target to take some money off the table as well. All right, so this is Broadcom, not too bad. All right, I think you are putting stock in your watch list. Let's see when the resistance actually gives way, and let's see when potentially a new 1GT bullish signal could actually get triggered again. Okay, so that is AVGO. Now let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next stock. Z.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so the next stock that I have here would be by Asher, right? Asher, I hope you're still here. You mentioned about CRWV, right? So let's take a look at CRWV. You mentioned that you bought CRWV at 135, okay? Then it came down. And then you bought more at $70. Then now you're still holding on to a position, and whether should you hold or sell, right? But first thing first, Asher, I'm not too sure what's your position sizing when you actually buy 2 times, whether you buy more at 135, then you buy even more at 70. What's the position sizing that you are holding, right? I think that is very important as well, right? And also, the other thing is that 135 you buy 1 time, right? 70 you buy another time, and I think your thinking is you want to average down, right? To lower the average cost price, right? If you're still here, you let me know. Maybe after you buy more, what's your average cost price now? Are you sitting on losses? Are you sitting on a bit of wins? Or what is your average cost price that you are currently sitting on at this point in time for your holdings, right? Okay, so while we wait for Asher to reply, right, let's take a look at the stock and also the trend, right? Especially where are the levels that we want to take note of. Okay, so as of last night, right? As of last night, price actually closed at 119, right? 119 right over here, right? And you can see that for CRWV, right, you don't have much of data, right? You don't have much of a data because, in terms of the longer term trend, right, the blue line just started only. The red line, you can see that it started from August, right? Because this stock has just started last year in March, right? So at this point in time, of course, we have the red and the blue line now to actually check for the trend, right? To check for the trend. And what can we see is that the long-term, short-term trend might not exactly be very, very clear, right? Of course, short-term trend, we do see that short-term trend, it was going down, then sideways a bit, right? It just going sideways, and now it's showing strength, pointing back up, right? Pointing back up. Longer-term trend, the red line started in August, it was actually up, down, and now showing signs of it pointing back up as well. But what about the blue one, right? The blue one just started this year, right? And we see that it was actually sloping up gently, and now it's gently sloping down, right? So in terms of the trend wise, I would say that not exactly very clear at this point in time. I don't know that short-term strength returning, but longer-term trend, a bit questionable, right? A bit questionable because in fact, this stock has not been very long, okay? And in terms of price action, then we take a look at price action. What can we see? Price action, of course, same thing, right? It's telling us the same thing. Price consolidated sideways from November all the way to April, right? And recently, price broke up right? We got 1 GT bullish signal, and price actually broke out and is now trading about 119, right? Where did it broke out? What level did it broke out, right? Remember, it was consolidating sideways for at least, I think, 6 months, right? November all the way to April. And the periods that, the support and the resistance when it was consolidating, where was it? $70, I would say, will be the support, right? It's very clear that this level, you can see that multiple times buying pressure come back, right? And resistance, where would it be? I would say that somewhere near the 110, right? Can you see that right over here? Prices tested, broke down. Here, tested, unable to break above, came down. Here, eventually, recently, broke above. So I would say 110 would be the resistance, which has now turned to become the immediate support, right? Immediate support 110. And the next level, you can see, right? Where is the next resistance? Next resistance, I would say somewhere definitely near the 150 already, right? 150 psychological level. And you can see right over here, 150 was tested multiple times as well. And in fact, here we actually start to see long upper shadow, right? Near resistance, and that tells us one thing, and one thing only, whereby selling pressure is there, right? And selling pressure could return again if prices were to head back up to 150, right? So let me see. Asher, okay, bought at 100 at each price, looking to average initially. Yeah, okay. So usually that is the case. Like if you buy 150, 130 over, and you see price going down, then you think about buying some more to average down. And usually that is not what we want to do. We don't want to average down, because like what Joey mentioned earlier on, if we are seeing weakness, price break support level, right? And you want to average down some more. Why? Right? Because that tells you that there is weakness, and if you want to buy some more, can price go even lower? It can, right? But thankfully, prices actually consolidated sideways, and you bought 70 at the $70, right? Which is right over here, right? Right over here, which is where buyers actually return. I think the second entry at the $70, that's fine, right? That's fine. But it is the mentality of averaging down, right? That is something that, we try not to adopt. We try not to adopt, because by right, when you buy at 135, you should already have a plan, right? When you buy 135, right, I will believe, maybe, I'm not sure, I don't think it's here, maybe it's somewhere here, 135, right? If you have bought somewhere here and you start to see, subsequently, 1 GT bearish signal actually came out. Prices break a support level. That is where you perhaps would have if you have a trading plan in place back then, you perhaps would have already gotten out, right? Have your stop loss in place, reduce your exposure, and perhaps by then, you cut loss at about 20%, right? Cut loss at about 20% when the 1 GT bearish signal actually came out, right? And when you start to see stabilization, 1 GT bullish signal come in again, and your second entry was near a $70, near this support zone, right? And that is where, if you would think about trading this stock, right, and prices actually head back, short-term strength return, right, and actually head back to test this $110, right? Here, this is where, some people, if they were to trade, right, you enter near 70, near the 110 resistance, that's where potentially you can get out as well, right? Near a resistance, and that would be about a 60%. Right, but of course, we did not, that did not happen, right? We did not cut loss first and then enter again, right? Because usually that is what should have been done, right? Whereby you cut loss first. If the trend doesn't go according to plan, as per your trading plan at start, then you reduce exposure and think about potential ways to enter again, right? When there is opportunity, rather than averaging down, right? So that's the takeaway that I would like you to have, right? In terms of like trading mentality, right? We don't think about averaging down, but rather follow the plan and look for opportunities to enter again, right? So right now, I'm not too sure what's your average cost price. I think definitely, maybe if you bought 100, maybe you are currently around your average cost price, maybe sitting on a bit of losses, right? So key thing now definitely to watch for the immediate support level at about 110, whether can it continue to hold firmly above this 110, because if it does hold firmly above this 110, potential upside target, like I mentioned, potentially we are looking back towards the 150, which was the previous high back in October, right? But if it does not hold above this 110, what can we potentially see is prices could continue to head back into the sideways consolidation range that it has been in since November all the way to where we are at in April, right? So definitely, I think 110 could be one of the immediate support that you want to take note of. Set some price alert, have your plan in place, right? And usually, what I mentioned, don't think about averaging down, right? But rather think about how do you manage your losses if your trading plan don't go according to what you wish for, because as I said previously, market doesn't care what you think, market doesn't care your plan, but we need to know how to manage our risk, especially when we buy into any stocks. Once you buy in, definitely you'll be assuming some risk, right? And you want to know how to manage that risk rather than just purely thinking about profits, which usually that's what people think about lah. Okay, so 110, 150, and also 70. I think these will be the 3 key levels that perhaps Asher you might want to think about and to watch out for, and to especially set your price alert, have a plan in place. Okay, so that would be for CRWV, right? CRWV, and I will pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Right. So I saw another comment coming out on like Tesla. Right. So just to recap, guys, Catherine, I think Tesla was the very first stock that I covered. So I just do a quick recap of all the stocks that we have covered so far. So if you have covered it, guys, we will not cover again. So I think right at the beginning, you've been following me. I covered the markets, right? The S&P 500 index and even the Nasdaq. So I mentioned about, since last week, I mentioned there could be a potential bottom. We had a 1 GT bullish signal triggered on the entire market. Of course, we got a second one coming out this week as well. And things are getting a bit more bullish. All right. So check out the replay. If you missed it, right, watch the replay to get a quick update on the market, what has happened, what are we looking at right now in terms of the technical levels. Are we more bullish or maybe bearish? Right. The very first stock that I covered was Tesla, TSLA, right? Second stock, Micron, Z covered it. Next one will be L3 Harris Technology. The code is LHX. Z covered on IGV, right? iShares Tech Software, Sector ETF. Okay. Welltower, Oracle, ServiceNow, RTX Corporation, Broadcom, AVGO is the code. Z covered on CRWV, right? Just only now. And now I'll be moving on to stock number 11. All right. So I hope that helps regarding the breakdown. So if you miss any of the stocks, if that's what you like, go ahead to watch the replay on my YouTube channel, even on our Facebook page as well. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And that would be this stock that is asked by, let me just pull out. I'm trying to find the chat messages. So it's more than 50 over messages on all the stocks. So guys, apologies if we cannot cover all of it. We try our best, right? Thank you so much for those of you who are typing in the chat, giving us a bit of context on your stocks. All right, so we do our best to cover as much as possible. Okay. Next stock, Novo Nordisk. The code is NVO. All right. So TVWV, thinking to buy Novo Nordisk. NVO is the code. Would like to know what is a good entry level and what is the trend. Right? What is the trend? Right. So maybe guys, let's help TVWV out. What do you guys think is the trend in terms of the longer term trend, longer term trend over the past 1 year, 2 year, right? Is it more up or more down? More up or more down, right? Time channel, U for up, D for down. What do you guys think about the trend in the longer term for this stock called Novo Nordisk? Is it up or is it down? Right. So we can, help TVWV with this one answer already. What is the trend? Let's see. Brandon, down. Jared say down. Catherine, let's see, right? Francis Xavier, down. I think a lot of you are saying it's down. Quite clearly it's down. All right. Why? Well, quite clearly you can see that the moving averages in terms of the red line and the blue line. So 100 days moving average red line pointing down. Blue line, 200 days moving average pointing down as well. And it has been pointing down since 2024, about 2 years back already, right? More than 2 years back, since like not last week or last month, very long already. Okay, so the longer term trend, obviously, it is down, right? But doesn't mean the long term trend is down. Means the short term trend is always down, because short term trend also can rebound. You can see the green line. You can see the green line, it starts to rebound, right? So sometimes the green line also got go up, and then the short term trend turn up, right? But the point here is that when the longer term trend is down, right? Yeah, in the short term, you might rebound, right? The green line can turn up, but you can turn up for 1 week, 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that kind of thing. What happens? Sellers comes back and it goes even lower, right? It goes even lower. So every time you go up, the short term trend turns up, we go up for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month, and then sellers return. The longer term trend takes over again. Sellers starts pushing it even lower, right? So we try not to buy when the longer term trend is down, especially for this whereby it has been down since 1-2 years already, correct? So that's the first thing. Okay, now let's go ahead to turn on. All right, so I've just been using what we call the moving averages. as part of the 1GT Pro indicator, all right? But the very first box will be the bullish and bearish signals, right? Let's take a look at it, turn it on, pump, there we go. So you can see that since like 2024, right? I mean, when the trend, the green line was turning down, the long-term trend also started to turn down. We got bearish signals, right? Bearish signals, there we go. Bearish signals, there we go. Of course, once in a while, we do have some bullish signals, right? Look at this, right? Bullish signals coming out, right? Bullish signal coming out. The short-term trend also turned up a bit. But what happens, as I say, because the longer-term trend is down, bearish signals appear, and we went even lower. All right, so it doesn't mean we see a bullish signal means we anyhow buy. All right, a bullish signal will be just one of the confirmation. I mean, a pretty powerful confirmation that we seek, right? But if we see that plus a few other factors, a few other confirmations, all right, that would be a better entry, right? So in this case, even though we got bullish signal, even though the short-term trend turned up, right, you can see that was in December last year. Well, but the long-term trend obviously still down. And what happens, right? As I say, sellers came back, another bearish signal, and we go even lower. Right? Okay, so let's just zoom into what has happened over the past, I would say, few days, right? So yeah, past few days, we got a new 1GT bullish signal. And same like this, we got a new 1GT bullish signal, right? So in terms of the short term, I think that not too bad. I mean, yeah, it may go up. I don't know, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 1 month. Or I think previously also went up for like maybe 1 month, right? Right? So we can go up in the short term. But I would say that in terms of the upside reward, because we're against the longer term trend, I would not want to buy stocks like this, right? Because yeah, I mean, it can go up but for how much? I mean, like the upside might not be much. Or after it go up, like maybe to let's see, maybe to around that 50, maybe like $50. Yeah, you can see right over here a little bit of a resistance level. We broke above it. We got a bullish signal. So anything maybe near 50, potentially some selling can come back. All right, so it might go up, consolidate, then boom. You never know, right? Sellers might come back and might start selling target. Right? And that's where bearish signals could appear again, like what we have seen previously, right? So short-term trend is okay. We got a bullish signal. I think we might hit up maybe to 41, 42, 45, maybe near 50. I don't know, right? Nobody knows exactly where, but $50 would be what we call a psychological resistance level. That was where we will cap. That was where we will cap as well in October, November, December, right? If we approach there, and the green line starts to turn down, the bearish signal come out, and then you're still holding all the way down, then cannot all right? So I hope that helps, right? So I hope that helps in terms of a good entry level. We're going to get in now, probably not I mean, as I say, if you want to get in now, maybe near 40, all right? 40, maybe a bit of a support near like $40, but the upside might be limited, right? So we try not to go against the long-term trend, all right? And there are other better stocks whereby there's more alignment, all right, in terms of these signals, right? We've got bullish signals, long-term trend is up, short-term trend is up, and we got other confirmations as well, right? Those will be better bets than this, whereby it's just the only two good things is that we got a bullish signal plus the green line is slightly pointing up. That's it. All right, Ken? Okay, so I hope that helps. Let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next stock. Z?
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so the next stock would be a stock by H2O, right? H2O. I hope you're still here. Let me share my screen, and that would be Amazon, right? Amazon. Okay, so H2O mentioned they bought Amazon at 210. You sold at 249. Oh wow, so you back in a profit already. 210 to about 249, about 18%. Wow, congrats, right? And you ask, will you go up further? Should I get back in when the price fall a little? Okay, so H2O, if you're still here, I'm not sure, are you still, when you sell, right, did you sell a full position or you sold half a position, you are still holding on, right? Let me know, right? Let me know in the chat, okay? But right now, Amazon, right, we do see a 1GT bullish signal appearing, right? And in terms of price action, what do we see? We see that price is actually rebounding back up very strongly and very quickly, and is actually, in fact, testing the 250 resistance, which exactly where H2O sold at, which I think that's perfectly fine, right? Because based on the 1GT framework that we have, selling pressure usually come back near resistance, right? And you can see based on this multiple times, selling pressure indeed return and push prices back down. So I think that perfectly fine if you are in position for Amazon, right? Nothing wrong to sell near resistance, right? Near 250, because like what H2O is thinking, right? You sell already, it's okay, right? You back in the profits. How much did she back in again? About 18 to 20%, 18 to 19% profits, right? yeah, put the money in your pocket, realize the profits already. There's nothing wrong to actually think about getting in again when the opportunity arrives, right? So now the question is, for assuming H2O, right, you sold all your entire position and you're thinking about getting in, where should we get in? Should we just get back in? Like what? If let's say today the price actually opened or lower, you mentioned, should I get back in when the price fall a little bit tomorrow? So meaning today, if let's say price open at 247, 248, do you want to buy right over here? Usually not, right? Because why? When we think about buying, you want to buy near where? Near support, not near resistance, right? Because we have already know that 250 here is actually the resistance, right? So usually if you buy near resistance, typically a lot of times when we meet with clients or people might say like, I buy already, immediately the price will drop, right? So that could be the reason why, because you could be potentially buying near resistance, right? We want to think about buying near where? Near support, right? Near support. And can you see that right over here, right? If 250 level is actually firmly broken above, right? If tears and it managed to break and hold above this 250, that is where potentially we might have a new potential support zone to potentially accumulate some positions, right? This could be what we call a breakout strategy as well, right? Especially so when we got a 1GT bullish signal appearing, 20 days moving average is pointing up, right? And you can see that there's some the longer term trend, the red and the blue line, the red line is actually showing some strength. It's attempting to cross back up above the blue line, right? So those are good signs, right? Those are good signs. But of course, we don't want to buy near a resistance, but rather want to buy when we have more confirmation upon a breakout, right? And making sure that the price is indeed able to hold firmly above the 250, right? And that could be one of the potential zone of entry, right? Setting some price alert near the level to monitor, right? And the upside target, then you might be wondering, okay, if I buy near this 250, then what's the next upside, or what's the target that I should be looking towards, right? The next upside target we have drawn is towards this 218. How did we actually get that? Right, you can see based on here, right? The range that it was actually trading for a couple of months, right? Can project it up, and the next upside target we are looking towards could be around 280. Right, 280. But of course, when we actually executing such a breakout strategy, right? Usually breakout strategy, it typically contains higher risk compared to a pullback strategy, right? But I mean, of course, if you say, hey, I want to buy near support, right? Near support, the support at 220, is this support still valid? I mean, yes, of course, this support is actually still valid, but will price actually go back all the way for you to buy at 220? I don't know, right? I don't know whether the price will go back all the way to 220 for you to buy, right? So that is the reason why breakout strategy also exists, right? But it just carries more risk because it's a breakout, and could force breakout actually happen like here? It could, right? It could actually happen, right? So the key thing is, if you were to enter here, then think about what is your stop loss, right? Where would you want to place your stop loss? If price were to reverse back down, do you want to place your stop loss, a couple of percentages slightly below, maybe 3%, 2%, 3%, slightly below the 250 support level? That could be a potential stop loss as well, right? But just take note, for Amazon, I believe the earnings is actually coming out very soon on the 29th of April as well. So that could also be a potential catalyst for the price to actually swing up or swing down, gap up or gap down, as you can see back over here, right? In November, earnings, not too bad, right? Price actually gap up. But then somewhere in February, you can see price actually get down. So it can swing either way. So definitely there will be volatility involved when we are nearing the earnings season. But most importantly, do have a plan in place. And especially for those, some of our clients that mentioned that, their risk appetite is not so big, they don't want to participate, especially during in earnings seasons. That's fine as well. You can also wait until after earnings season to potentially monitor what the price action is like and look at the potential zone of support and then formulate your trading plan. Then it is also fine, right? Nothing wrong. So most importantly, you must be comfortable with taking the risk that you are thinking about. Okay, so that would be for Amazon, some of the levels to note, and it could potentially be a breakout strategy as mentioned, with some of the levels that is being drawn over here. But most importantly, have a stop loss plan in place. Okay, that would be for Amazon. Right, I will pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Izzy, who talked about Amazon, right? Very firm resistance there, right? Hopefully the resistance gives way. If it does, then yeah, we never know, right? That's where there could be new legs to this rally. All right, but nothing wrong, as what Izzy mentioned, to take some profit near a resistance level, monitor, and wait for a proper good, second, third entry again. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. All right, next one would be, let's see. I think the next one I put out the chart, and that would be Catherine Ho, right? IBKR, right? So IBKR, $79 can still buy, right? After all, 1 year high only 79.37, right? So yeah, pretty much at near the 1 year high already. We got a couple of bullish signals. Can we actually still buy it? So let's go ahead to take a look at IBKR right now, Interactive Brokers. So quite clearly you can see that for IBKR, okay, let me just go ahead to remove some of the signals, maybe the moving averages. Well, look at the longer term trend in terms of the rate and the blue line, all right? Quite clearly, I would say that the longer term trend has been up since last year, all right? Rate above the blue, both pointing up. Is it still up now? Yep, still up, right? So long-term trend is up. This is definitely one of the stock whereby you could think about putting in your watch list for a long position to buy. Why? Because first of all, the long-term trend is up, right? Whereas just now I covered that one, the long-term trend is like down for the past 1-2 years. You buy, you go down, buy, go down, right? This one, at least long-term trend is up, right? But doesn't mean long-term trend up means you anyhow just wait and buy, right? You also want to wait for the good timing, right? Wait for some confirmations to write any reversal, all right? So let me go to turn on the short-term trend in terms of the green line and even the bullish signal to see when you get in, right? So for example, even the long-term trend is up, but imagine you go and buy when you see bearish signal, then you start going down, all right? Or you go and buy when you see here bearish signal and it starts going down. So it doesn't mean long-term trend up means you anyhow buy also lah. Or you want to try to be aligned with the long-term trend plus other things, other confirmations like here the bullish signal here, pump, then all the way over here as well. 2 bullish signal, there we go. 2 bullish signal, there we go. So every time you like to do 2, right? So what happens after that, right? Same thing, 2, there we go, all right? Recently, I also got 2, all right? So yeah, seems like every time I like to come out 2, and then you start to go up, right? So the point is that long-term trend is up. We got not 1, but we got 2 bullish signals, all right? The short-term trend, the green line, is it pointing up? Well, I would say that the green 20 days moving average line in March, February, it was actually pointing down. And then you got bearish signal. Please don't buy. Wait first. See, down. 2 weeks ago, one never point down already. Start to flat, but haven't point up yet, right? Last week, then started to point up. All right. Then we got pump 2, 1 GT bullish signal coming out, right? So I would say that this stock has definitely turned more bullish since last week, right? Not this week, last week. Okay. Why? Because we got, in fact, this 13th of April. This Monday, right? Monday night, right? That's where we got the first 1 GT bullish signal, right? Of course, it's pushed up a little bit more, right? From about like 70 over dollar down become 79, right? But I think there could still be more leaks to this rally, right? So one of the key level to watch right now would be the $80. Okay, so $80. Look at this. So $80 was where we were in January and February. We couldn't get above it, right? It's what we call a psychological resistance level. Now, last night the price is 79.38, right? It is just below the $80, right? It's just below $80. In fact, we went above it and the sellers came back and pushed it back down, right? So this $80 still holds as a psychological resistance level, okay? So I think right now, I mean, it's turning bullish, but for me, I think it's very simple because it's already gone up. If you were to kind of like buy near, like what Z mentioned, near a resistance level, that's where selling could actually come back, all right? What we want to do is that we want to wait to see, right, as another firmer confirmation, because we are right at the resistance right now, right? We're just like, a few bits below it, and that's 79.38, right? So we're just kind of like just right there, right? Just right below $80, right? So we want to wait for more confirmation so that can we actually break that $80? Can we move past it? Can we stay above it, right? Would there be any bullish price actions coming out if we were to break it, right? Has it came out yet? Haven't yet, right? Last night it tried and come back down, right? So not counted, right? So once that come out, that is where we will get a better confirmation, right? That's where I would say a good entry could be anything above that $80, all right? And that's where these 2 bullish signals, of course, that have popped out, could continue to play out. And that's where targets could be revised, right? Based on this recent consolidation, all the way up above 80 towards the 90 to maybe towards the $96, $96, $95, right? So that could be what we call the new phase of upside if the $80 gives it. So what we could do is to set an alert, right? 81, 82, all right? It breaks, monitor it a bit more, look at other confirmations like that we seek as well, like, candlestick, volume, and other stuff. That's where we could get, the more confirmation of even more upside momentum returning. Okay, so that is for IBKR. Okay, one of the stocks where I think not too bad, you put in your watch list. Okay, now let me know, guys, how many of you are actually clients of mine in Phillip Securities? That means you actually have what we call like a trading account under me in Phillip Securities. Type a C for client. If you're a client of mine in Phillip Securities, I want to thank all of you for just being here, acknowledge your support. If you've been trading under me as well. C for client, if you're a client of mine in Phillip Securities, let me know. Thank you so much. We have Jared. Well, a lot of clients over here, right? Client, thank you so much. Brandon, definitely. Howard, ABC as well. Styler, Jeji, Quinoa, a lot of clients over here. Very good. So you can see right now, guys, that we do have a lot of clients joining us every Friday as well. But of course, this is open to the public, right? I mean, anybody can join YouTube and Facebook, right? So if you would like to receive some of our top ideas, right, by WhatsApp daily for free, right, on the Singapore market. So every day we kind of like share some of those top Singapore ideas for free to our clients at no additional cost, like many of our clients over here, right? Alfred, Mohit, all right. Find out, the link is right in the chat. Click on it to discover how you can become a client of mine in Phillip Securities. You do not pay anything more, right? It's the same as whatever you pay when you're trading, right? I'm not too sure where you're trading, but in order to buy and sell stock, you need a trading account, correct? So if you have a trading account and then you log in, then you some app or some online platform, then you own sell, buy, own sell, nobody give you any idea, nobody call you, nobody WhatsApp you, nobody give you training, nothing. Don't even know who the person is. It's like hotline or something. Click on the link in the chat, find out how you can join many of our clients over here, all right, to get some of those top ideas daily by WhatsApp for free. No additional cost, all right, so that you can act on these ideas a bit faster than the time we take to do all this live show. Link is right in the chat, so in case I forget, right? So look forward to work together with you, closer with my team, once you come aboard as a client of mine in Phillip Securities when you have a trading account under me, right, which is free, by the way, anyway. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Z, all right, to cover the next US stock. Z, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so the next stock that I have over here would be, let me find the comment. You'll be Nvidia, right? It's by, wait, let me see where, Ian, right? Ian asking about Nvidia, thoughts on Nvidia per 1 GT on SR support and resistance. Is it too late to accumulate as share price seems to have jet off the past week, or take some profits? You bought in at $80. Oh, okay. So $80 definitely sitting on profits, Ian. Congrats, right? So right now, let's take a look at this, right? So like what you have mentioned, price seems to have jet off the past week, right? Definitely you can see that for Nvidia, right? Right over somewhere here in end of March, right, to at the start of April, that was where price buyers came in to support, right? And it just quickly rebounded all the way back up to this $200 psychological level, right? And it is very clear that over the past months, actually, since July, right, July 2025, right, you can see that price actually has just been kind of like taking a breather, right, for Nvidia, and kind of like just going sideways, consolidating sideways, right? In fact, you can actually see that happening in the short-term trend, up and down, up and down, up and down within this range, 170 to about 200, right? But of course, during this consolidation phase, the longer term trend at that point in time, I mean, right now, it still looks okay, right? At least it is not pointing down, right? It's okay. It's just that it has also gone up and flattened out, taking a breather as well. The blue line has just gently been sloping up, kind of like flattening out, also kind of like taking a breather, but it is still okay. Long-term trend, still okay. Short-term wise, now we are actually seeing some strength returning, right? In terms of price action as well, right? So let me just turn on the bullish and bearish signal, and let's take a look, right? Because we know the support is at around 170, resistance at about 200. Now price approaching that $200, right? And as per Ian, you mentioned that you bought in at $80. Definitely you are sitting on some profits, right? So just now, like what you mentioned, based on the 1GD framework, there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong for you to actually take some profits off, realize the profit, put the money into your pocket, especially when prices actually near the resistance. And you can see that when prices actually consolidated sideways for the past couple of months, right, every time, right, it tried to approach this $200, never even touch, selling pressure already come back. Can you see right over here, many times around the 190 to about 200, that range. As long as it's approached or near that level, selling pressure came back and pushed prices back down. So now price is indeed at this zone once again. So if you like to take some profits, not all, but some profits, I think perfectly fine to actually take some profits, right? And if you think about accumulating some positions, or for those of you who thinking about buying into Nvidia, if you are not holding on to any position, what are some of the levels that we want to take note of? Because as you can see now, short-term strength is actually returning, right? And we do know that resistance is about 200. Have it crossed and passed above 200 yet? No, not yet, right? It's definitely testing, right? It's definitely testing. Can today break above 200? I don't know, right? Can next week break above 200 and hold above 200? I don't know. But it could, right? It could break and hold above 200. And if it does break and hold above 200, right, I would say that potentially we could see price heading back up towards this 210, right? This could be one of the temporary resistance that we could be seeing, because this was where back in end of October, early November, right? We start to see selling pressure returning, right? But of course, the key thing, if price hit up and test this 110, right, what is the next thing that you want to monitor is definitely to monitor whether this $200, is it still a firm support lah? If it come back down, retest this 200 and it is a firm support, then the potential upside target, what are we looking towards? Definitely will be towards this 230. And how did we actually get this level? It will be simply based on the range that it was actually trading for so many months, right? You just project it up and there we go, right? So right now, I think at this point in time, for those of you who are holding on to a position, again, nothing wrong to take profits near resistance. And for those of you who are, thinking about adding on to your existing position, or for those of you who are wanting to, buy into a totally new position, no holdings at all, some of the key levels, as mentioned, you want to watch for a potential breakout above the $200, right? And this is what we call a potential zone of entry if and only if prices is able to break and hold firmly above this $200, right? And that is when likely we will also be able to see the 20 days moving average, right, crossing above the red and the blue longer term moving average, will give us another layer of confirmation that, the short-term strength, or there is indeed short-term momentum returning back to this counter, right? But I will not be surprised if around 210, if prices really break above around 210, this is where we start to see some selling pressure coming back. I think that's perfectly normal because based on what price action actually has shown us previously, 210, there could be some selling returning. But of course, as long as price hold above the 200, right, I think potential upside target definitely looking towards 14% towards the 230 based on the range projection that it was actually trading at. Okay, so Nvidia definitely at this point in time, definitely looking pretty bullish, right? But I think definitely what I want to monitor for would be some of the levels that I've mentioned and a firm breakout above the $200. Okay, so that would be for Nvidia. I will pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one. Shah Assad, hope you're still over here. Looking to buy MSFT, Microsoft for the long term, right? More than 2 years, so you're looking to buy long term, maybe 1, 2 year, 3 year, right? Now have a 1 GT, right? So is it a good time to get in? Let's find out. Let me go share my screen. So this is Microsoft right over here, right? MSFT. So very quickly, you can see for Microsoft, the chart looks quite clean, right? Every time. In like beginning of last year, 2025, we got a bearish signal and it starts coming down. So whenever you get bearish signal, let's say, then don't need to force yourself to go and buy wait for it, right? Be patient, right? Be patient until when, right? Once you see things like this, right? Pump. There we go, all right? Another bullish signal, it went up a little bit, right? Now, over the past few months, right? Since like October, November, right? We actually got 2 1 GT bearish signal being triggered. And if you look at the short-term trend, the green line, it also started to point down, flat, and then down some more, right? And in fact, another bearish signal actually appeared last month in March as well, right? So this bearishness that came in from October all the way to March is something like previously in January to March, January to March last year, right? Bearish signal, it starts coming down, right? Now let's take a look at the bullish signal that just came out. So as I said, previously last year in April, we got a bullish signal and it starts going up, right? Over the past 1 week, finally, right? Seems like we got a new, not seems like, but it is a fact, we already got a new 1 GT bullish signal appearing, right? After 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, October until now, don't have, I keep on going down, right? From 460, go down to 320, right? How many percent? Go down by 30%, right? For 5 months. And finally, the new 1 GT bullish signal gets triggered, all right? So would there be some signs of strength? Would there be a potential reversal happening? Well, I would say, if you ask me now, I mean, compared to last week and last month, you ask me, I would say better than last week or last month when there's no bullish signal, when everything is going down, right? Right now, at least, we got a 1 GT bullish signal, right? So some might be curious, hey, why did this bullish signal actually come out? How can it come out? Let me go to turn on what I call the 1 GT Pro indicator in terms of the trailing support and resistance. You can see when the bearish signals came out in November, right over here, same thing. We got, okay, let me just go to remove the lines in terms of the moving averages. So it's a bit clearer, right? So when the bearish signals appeared in November, you can see a trailing resistance line, this red line above the price, popped up, right? And Microsoft went down, right? Because the short-term trend went down as well, right? So it went down, right? This trailing resistance followed it as it moved down, right? From about 460, it follow all the way until $340, right? Down, flat, down, flat, down, flat, down, flat, down, flat, until right over here. And over the past few days, finally, you can see, right, we actually went above 340, and that triggered what we call a first new 1 GT bullish signal, right? So that's a sign of strength, because as I say, this trailing resistance now, it allows the stock to maybe move lower. It give it the space. If you're below it, then please, not good. Don't go and buy, right? But I give you the space, you're below, which is, you're weak, right? But one fine day, you go above it. You use up all the space, plus you go above it. It means that, hey, I'm not saying that, because of this, then you will confirm, chung all the way up. No, not saying that, okay? But what I can say is that at least there's some signs of strength, all right? Buyers are starting to come back. They're trying to attempt to push higher. They're attempting to break what we call that resistance at 340, right? Whereby space has been given. They've used up all the space, and they're attempting to push higher. That's what I'm saying, right? So there's some signs of strength. It's looking a bit more bullish than over here or here or here or here. No, that one please, wait first, right? But now at least it's looking a bit more bullish, right? So now let me go to just turn on the moving averages again and turn it off. So let's take a look at it again. So you can see that right now we got a 1 GT bullish signal. I think you guys know the reason why, okay? Well, I would say that we are back to this very key resistance level. Look at this, 360. That was where in April last year, when we got the 1 GT bullish signal, we actually broke that 360. All right. Of course, the green line turned up as well. There we go. Right. So 360 was a bit of a resistance then as well. And so right over here, you can see a little bit of a resistance March to April last year when we had tariffs and all that, right? Same thing. The same 360 is right over here. So you can take and put from here to here, right? Yeah. Same 360 level. So now it's what? 356. Is it below 360? Yeah, still below. Below by how much? Below by $4, right? But still below, right? So the point here is this. If I think if we can break above that 360, right? So now we're very near 360. So if you come get in near 360, then you know what? If it retrace back down again, right? So it's looking a bit more bullish, but I would say that if we can break the 360, that means we go to above 360, right? 361, 363, 365, whatever. Then we start to see the green 20 days moving average line start to turn up. Now it's flat. Haven't really turned up yet. I mean, just started only, right? So it start to turn up. That will be where we could trigger a second 1 GT bullish signal. I think that would be where it could give it a bit more weight in terms of the upside reversal, all right? Like what we have seen previously, maybe all the way back towards the previous resistance right over here, which is maybe around the 480, right over here. That could be another confirmation that we can see for a firmer reversal. Does it make sense, well? All right, so that's for Microsoft. I think it's not too bad. I mean, at least we got a bullish signal compared to last month we buy nothing. So at least there's some bullish signal. But let's see if you can break 360. You can put some alerts 361, 362, 365. All right, if that happens, great. We stay above another bullish signal appears, the green line also start to turn up. Different story. That is where we will get the confirmation we need. That's where I would say that the reversal back up, like what we've seen over here. All right, you can take and then you can, like, you know, paste over here, right? That is where, you know, it will be a little bit more pronounced, right? That's where we get a bit more clarity, or more conviction for that reversal trade. You see what I'm saying about? All right, Ken. So that is for Microsoft. I hope that helps. Shah, let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think the next stock would be, let me see, where's the comment? It will be by Styler. Wait, where's Styler's comment? Let me find. Okay, here. Right. Okay, so let me change the screen. All right, so Styler, welcome back. Good to see you here every week. So mentioned that Alibaba, right? You sold in last year November 50% at 172. Your average cost price is about 80. You think about buying back 2 weeks ago at below 125, but trends seems to be bearish then. Are trend more bullish now, and is it time to actually buy back? Okay, so let's take a look, right? Maybe let me just hide your comment first. Okay, so that would be for Alibaba, right? So Alibaba, you mentioned that your average cost price was about $80, right? So $80, that will be here, right? And then you sold at about 172, 50%. So wow, actually, lock in about more than 100% profits. That's great, right? That's fantastic. And I think you actually, perhaps back then, right, there was a 1GD bearish signal as well, and then you decided to lock in some profits. I think perfectly fine, right? Perfectly fine. So now with the balance 50% position, you're thinking about increasing your exposure again, right? And to continue holding on to this stock. So 2 weeks ago, you mentioned that you think about buying where 125, let's see, so that would be somewhere here, right? 125. But trend seems to be bearish back then. Are trends actually more bullish now? Okay, so 125, when you think about buying here, trend seems to be bearish back then. I would agree. Why? Because back then, right over here, we do not have a 1GD bullish signal. We have two 1GT bearish signal, in fact, right? 20 days moving average is still pointing down, right? So back then, definitely I agree with you. It's slightly more bearish, right? Is it more bullish now? Slightly more bullish. Why 20 days moving average has started to flatten out? We got a new 1GT bullish signal coming out, right? But longer term trend wise, right, I would say at this point in time currently, it still seems like there's some sort of longer term trend weakness, right? Because hopefully we don't see over the next couple of weeks whereby the 100 days moving average cross below the 200 days moving average. I think that would not be a good sign, right? But I think right now, what we want to monitor for, right, especially for Styler, if you're thinking about adding on position, right, and we want to look out for confirmations, right, I think what are some of the confirmation that we want to watch for definitely will be the immediate resistance. As you can see right over here, right, I would draw it about 145, right? This is the immediate resistance whereby price could be testing, right? Previously, you can see here is a support level. Before it broke down, support here broke out and held above it, right? So 145, I would say, will be the immediate resistance that perhaps you want to take note of, right? If prices is able to break and hold above, the 145, right, turning this to become a higher support, right, then potentially, I think at that point in time, we likely may have more confirmations in terms of the longer term trend, right? The red line stop pointing down, because now definitely red line is actually still pointing down, right? By then, if prices is able to break and hold firmly above the 145, right, whereby potentially this could be one of the potential zone of entry. You could be looking at near a support level. The 100 days moving average, the red line, what we want to see is for it to actually flatten out, stop pointing down, for it to stop pointing out. If it flattens out, then the blue line also flatten out. Longer term trend is actually still more or less stable. It's okay, right? And we have short term strength returning, right? But at this point in time, I think right now, prices actually gave up yesterday, right? We got 1GT bullish signal. It is kind of like in the middle of nowhere, because as you can see right over here, right now, resistance 145, support, and can you see the supports will be somewhere near this $130, right over here, and price is at 138. It's in the middle of nowhere, right? And I believe this is what I believe this is what Bervin used to like to call it, like middle, like no man's land, right? No man's land, because this is right in the middle, right? So when we want to buy, just now, like what we mentioned, right, we want to buy near a support zone, right? Because when we buy near a support zone, typically it will give us a better risk to reward ratio lah. So that's the reason also why we want to buy near a support, on top of the fact that potentially supports are where buyers will return, right? So right now, I think the key thing to monitor is to see whether price is able to hit up momentum return and break and hold above the 145 before thinking about accumulating some positions lah. Okay, because anyway, you said that your balance 50% position, your average cost price is at about 80, so definitely you are still sitting on very healthy profits at this point in time, right? So, and also, of course, if prices were to continue to head up, I think the key thing would be to protect your profits, right? Because I think that is actually what happened previously when you take 50% profits at 172, protecting the 100%, right? So now we are thinking about adding on to position, and if prices continue to head up, then the resistance, right? The next resistance definitely we are looking at will be at 180, right? But for now, without even thinking about 180, the next target first, watch for the 145, set some price alert, and to see whether if price is indeed able to break and hold firmly above this level for potential accumulation. Okay, so that would be for Baba. Styler, I hope that helps, and I'll pass my time back over to Joey for the next US stock.
All right, so let me, you can just go one more round, all right? And I realized I made a mistake just now, all right? So just now when I covered Microsoft, guys, that was the chart I showed you, all right? Then after I read the comments, and I realized some of you mentioned, hey, Joey, you're not using the MSFT Nasdaq chart, all right? Kinwa, Nasdaq price for Microsoft is currently 420, then I'm talking about 360, which is like totally out of point, right? So I realized that I was on Microsoft, the same company, Microsoft, but I was looking at the German exchange. I put MSF, there's one extra T I never put, right? So anyway, it's still the same stock. So very quickly, let me take a look at the real correct Microsoft, the US one, so MSFT, MSFT, okay? So apologies for that. Forget to put an extra T, okay? But let's take a look at it, right? It should look about the same because I mean, it's the same company, just that listed on different exchange in the US, in the German exchange, right, previously. So let's take a look. So same thing, very quickly. We got bearish signals in April last year, went all the way down. Same thing, bullish, like what I mentioned just now as well, all the way up. Resistance would be somewhere around the 550. So remember just now I talked about the 360, right? Well, if you look at it right now, for the one that is listed on the US exchange, Microsoft MSFT, it's not 360 lah. Now the price is all different already, okay? The price, the resistance would be 420. Right, $420, $420, right? You see, we are right below it. Now it's like 419.76, which is below 420 lah. So same thing like what I mentioned just now, right? If you can break this resistance, it was also a very key resistance level whereby we broke it last year, May, all the way up. So same thing, if you can break that resistance level, that is where I could take this thing and put it over, right? So just take this kind of like project over here, right? That's where targets could be more, I would say could be revised more firmly upwards from 420 all the way to 500, maybe all the way to 550, which is pretty much that resistance level we've seen last year, right over here. Cool. All right. So that is the correct Microsoft MSFT. Apologies that I covered the wrong one that was listed on the German exchange. Okay. So, but it looks the same. It looks the same, right? Just the price level a bit different. Okay, again. All right. So that's for the real correct Microsoft MSFT. Okay. Now, let me move on to maybe I'll just cover one last one. Z cover one last one. And then we move on to the next segment, which is the bonus US stocks that me and Z will share with you at the end. All right. Whereby I think that you want to watch it, all right? There's some bullish signals. We could be attempting to push even higher over the next few weeks or next 1 or 2 months. Okay, so that is the next segment. Make sure you stay all the way to the end to find out what that 2 bonus stocks are. But now, let me go to choose one final one, right? One final one. Okay, as I say, guys, there's more than 50 over US stocks. Very sorry if I cannot cover all of it. But we try our best lah. Okay, Ken? Okay, I think there's some questions. Any cost to transfer from other brokers, Ian? I think I mentioned just now as well, guys, that if you would like to have a trading account under me in Phillip Securities, where I'm a broker for more than 10, 15, more than 10, 12 years now, all right? You could open a free trading account. You're not able to transfer the account from one broker to another, right? Yeah, you can transfer some shares over, right? So step by step, you can open a free trading account if you have like an account with other brokers, but you don't get any service. Of course, if your service, then please stay there. But if like nobody service you, nobody call you, nobody WhatsApp you, nobody send you anything, no email, no ideas, no WhatsApp, then I think you should open a free trading account and at least get some service lah. Okay, so the link is right in chat. Z, just place the link in chat again. All right, find out how you can become a client of mine for free and no additional cost. You do not pay anything more. The same as whatever you pay lah. But at least you get some service. Okay, so no cost to transfer from other broker. You cannot transfer from other broker. You can open a new account. Okay, okay, so that is okay. So let me move on to the next stock. ADCO 4822. Can we talk about ONTO, ONTO? Let's find out. ONTO, ONTO. ONTO Innovation, is it? ONTO New York Stock Exchange. So US one, okay, ONTO. Wow. What stock is this? Is it some tech stock or something? All right, let's find out. I think ONTO. So you can just find out a little bit more on this stock, ONTO Innovation. Well, ONTO Innovation engages in the business of designing, development, and manufacturing support of high-performance control methodology, microelectronic device, a bit of silicon wafer production, a bit of semiconductor tech kind of stock. All right, so maybe a little bit of like Broadcom and stuff, but not too bad. I mean, technically, you can see that from the chart, right? Who is asking? ADCO, all right? Still over here, okay? Can we get in what price based on the 1GT bullish signal? So I think this stock is definitely one of the stock that you could consider. All right, why? Because I mean, if you ask me last year, then probably not lah. Last year you can see we got bearish signal, right? The long-term trend, red and blue, also both pointing down, right? The green also pointing down, right? You're gonna buy for what? No, right? But over the past 5 to 6 months, seems like maybe November, you can see the red went above the blue, right? So in order for the red to be above the blue, that means for the long-term trend to be up, right? We need the red to cross above the blue so that both can point up, right? So it happened right over here in December, right? And when that happened, the green line also point up. And then of course you can see for yourself, the bullish signal also come out lah, all right? And there we go, all the way up. How many percent would that be? 45% in 2 months, right? Then we got a bearish signal, get out, take some profit, right? But over the past few weeks, seems like we got another new 1GT bullish signal. So it seems like it has woke up, because I mean, we were kind of like capped below this resistance at about 230. And look at that, came down, then touch, come down, then a bearish signal, then it was like sideways lah. But over the past 1 week plus, we have broken, that's why we triggered a 1GT bullish signal. So we went above the 230 to 40 resistance level. Long-term trend already up since November, we said it, right? The green line that was like going down, or maybe flat a little bit, started to also point up. So I think not too bad. This is definitely a stock whereby now you could put in your watch. I think we could be starting to see a bit more strength coming back, more upside momentum. All right. Now let's just dive into what has happened over the past few days. So you can see that, well, yesterday night we saw a pretty red bearish candle, right? Pretty red bearish candle. Right, so some people might say, "Hey, Joey, wow, red bearish candle means it's going to like crash all the way down." Not necessarily. I mean, red bearish candle, I mean, it's definitely more bearish than the green one now, right? Of course, green and red, which one better? Green one better lah, right? But doesn't mean you see a red one means, wow, it's going to crash all the way, right? It just means that at this level, right, I think it gapped up, right, all the way because it's very strong move up. Actually, it was up, right? And the closing price on Wednesday night and Thursday night, it was still up, right? But just that you went up too much, gap up, sellers came back, it opened higher, and it closed lower. So that's the reason why it's a red candle, right? But it actually closed above Wednesday night price, right? It's still a positive, right? Just that, sellers came back and pushed it back down. So it just means that there's some selling pressure coming out, maybe near that 290. I think 290 would be a little bit of a resistance level, right? So I think back to your question, can we get in at what price based on the 1GT signal? Well, we could see if there's any new support that came out. So what we could do is to turn on what we call the trailing support right over here. So you can see that this trailing support is slightly lower. Why? Because it gives it the space to breathe. It only just started moving up, right? So there's nothing much to really follow. But of course, it moved up more, it will follow it up even more. All right. So there's a trailing spot around that 220. So anything above 220, it is okay, right? But doesn't mean it will go all the way to 220 for you to buy. No, right? Because some horizontal support might come out, as it attempts to push even higher. And I would say that right now, over the past few days, well, we could have I would say some slight inclination, right, towards the horizontal support. 250, right, 250. Why? I mean, quite clearly you can see that 250, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. We have been holding above 250, 251, 256, 257, right, up and down. And then next, Because last night we gap up near 290 and then we sold off, right? So I think near 250 to 260 or maybe up to 270, anything here. I think that's where some bargain hunting could come back again. If you can hold above 250 firmly, it looks pretty good. I think that's where the bullish signal that had been triggered last week could still continue to play out, all right? And even if we break 300 or 290, targets could be revised even more. Okay, I hope that helps, AVGO. All right, so this is Onto, O-N-T-O, Onto Innovation. Not too bad. You can put this stock in your watch list. Yeah, I think for even more upside, right? Because the uptrend is still intact. Okay, let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the last stock for today. All right, Z, yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let us quickly cover the last stock, then we can actually head over to the bonus stock, right, for today. So over here, you can see my screen, and it will be Coca-Cola, right? Because Bak Guan is asking about Coca-Cola. I bought Coca-Cola at 69.76, considering to sell them. So what's your advice? Okay, so you bought at 69.76. Is it maybe here? Like when you see the, is it 69? Yeah, slightly here. Maybe when you see the 1GD bullish signal come out, then you actually got in as well, right? I don't know, right? Now, let's see, you're currently sitting on about 7% profits. Okay. And let's take a look at some of the key levels, right, that perhaps you want to monitor as well, especially you're holding on to a position. And what we are seeing right now is a 1GT bearish signal, right? So like what I said earlier on, it doesn't mean that when we see a 1GT bearish signal, it means that the stock will crash. It doesn't mean that, right? It just means that there is more selling pressure. And indeed, we are actually seeing more selling pressure returning, right? Prices, after the first 1GD bullish signal came out, went up all the way to close to the $82, right? And that's about like the 22%, right? Right? So it could be a situation whereby Bak Guan bought the stock already, and then we head up to the resistance, never take profit, right? Then now come back now a bit sayang, right? But no worries, you're still sitting on profits. It's still okay, right? It's still okay. But the thing is, then what do we do now, right? What do we do now, right? So we know that near the 82, there is definitely some resistance here, and this would be what we call a resistance zone, right? And then subsequently a 1GD bearish signal came out, and now prices is trading about 75.18, right? 75.18 as of yesterday. And you can see right over here, right, the support level that we have drawn is around this 74, right? When prices break above this level, bearish signal came in, selling pressure came back, push prices back down, retest this level at 74 somewhere towards the end of March, right? And it then rebounded, right? Prices actually rebounded, and now it's coming back down again, and it looks like it's going to retest this support at 74, right? This support at 74. So for Bak Guan, right, if prices were to break below this 74, I mean, of course, you will still definitely 69, right? You say you got it at about 69, right? You will definitely still be sitting on some profits, right? And perhaps that is where you might want to consider to have your stop limit order in place to protect the existing profits that you still have. Because if prices is going this way and unable to hold above 74 and it breaks down, very likely we will continue to see the 20 days moving average pointing down, right? Agree? 20 days moving average, the green line, very likely it will still continue to head downwards if the 74 support level is being broken, right? And in fact, I think right over here, apart from the $82, $81, $82, this resistance, right, I would say that actually right over here, can you see somewhere here near the 78, right, some resistance has actually appeared already. Right over here, right, previously you see 1GD bearish signal came out, prices went back up again, right, selling pressure came in, scoop up the price, right, but here started to show some signs of weakness, selling pressure came in, right, and again, when you go back up, right over here, once more, right, so I would say that around 78, right, here, I would say that there could be some sort of resistance appearing if prices is able to hold above this 74 and head back up to this 78, right? I would say that around here, if you would like to take some profits, right, nothing wrong to take profits here if prices is able to rebound above the 74, right, head back to the 78. Here, I would say it would be some sort of resistance happening, right? But again, like mentioned, if prices is unable to hold above this 74, then we want to take active step to protect whatever profits that we still have, whereby I think at that point in time, you probably would be sitting on about a 6% profits, right? Profits better than losses, right? We would want to rather take action than not do anything at all. And then if prices continue to head lower, go back to square one, then at zero, then what's the point of holding all the way when you actually first bought into it until now, right? because you'll be very sayang, right? You actually got profit one become nothing, right? So the key thing is take active steps to protect your profits, right? And these are the key levels that Bhagwan perhaps you want to set price alert on, especially near the 78 resistance, and also, you know, right over here at the 74 or slightly below 74 if prices were to break or unable to hold above this level. Okay, so Bhagwan, I hope that helps to give you more clarity in terms of, you know, formulating your own trading plan as well. Okay, so that would be all, the last stock for you guys. And I think now I'll pass the time back over to Joey so he can share with you guys his bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so very good analysis on Coca-Cola. So let's move on to the final segment of today's one, I would say, Ask Me Any Stock live show, whereby, you know, two, right, not one, but two bonus stocks will be revealed at the end. All right, so, okay, let me go share my screen. Okay, so I hope you guys got the value. I hope you guys got value so far. Let me know, guys, if you have, you know, taken away something today. Just put a thumbs up, guys, to take away something today, especially if you have covered your stocks. Type V for value, like type V for value, guys. If you got value so far, make sure all of you got value before we move on to the next segment. Let me know. All right, V for value. Okay, let's see who got value today. Vincent, value. Right? So I hope we got value today and also every Friday. So do join us, like as I say, do join us every Friday. Next Friday, we'll be back to the Singapore stock market. So very sorry if we cannot cover. I think today we covered like 18 over US stocks, guys. It's already like almost 3 hours already, okay? But we there's like more than 20 over more we cannot cover. But so sorry, if you can join us next Friday, that's where we have time. We try to find time to cover a bit more, right? But next Friday we're back to Singapore market, right? So value. Thank you so much, Chong, Money as well, Kunav, hi, Claudio, Simon. Awesome. Okay, very good. So let's move on to the next part of today's show, right? Whereby I'll share with you guys two new US stocks, right? I'll share one, Z will share one. So the next stock will be this company called AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, right? So AMD has been one of the stock in our watch list since the past 1-2 years. All right, it has been, I would say, a bit of a semiconductor play, all right, a tech play as well. It was not always that good. You know, sometimes you have bearish signals, it starts going down. Like for example, you know, in 2024, 2025, you can see bearish signal, it starts going down. But same thing last year in May when the semiconductor sector was doing really well, led by Nvidia and all that. We got bullish signals. There we go. Another bullish signal. There we go. Right. So over the past 6 months, I would say since October, November, December, very boring. Right? We were just pretty much consolidating from this level, 185 to that 270. All right, 185 to 270. It's like, you know, going up and down, and up and down, and up a bit, and down a bit, up a bit, and now it's like going up again, right? So it was just consolidating below the 270 resistance level. All right, it was a bit boring, right? We don't get actually any confirmation to get back in. All right, we got bearish signal, it starts going down, bearish signal, it starts going down again. Right, but go down doesn't mean go all the way down. Like you go down to near 185, 200, then people buy, then it start to go up again. All right, now over the past 1-2 weeks, well, this stock has came into our watch list again. Why? Because quite clearly you could see that we got not one, but we got two 1 GT bullish signals. So the first one came out or got triggered on the 8th of April, which is not this Wednesday, it's last Wednesday, right? Today is Friday, right? So it's last Wednesday, on 8 April, right? I think when the market started to move up, right? So last Wednesday, right? Of course, it's gone up a little bit more, but last night, Thursday night, today Friday, last night, Thursday night, right? We got another 1 GT bullish signal, right? And that's because we actually broke above the 170 psychological resistance that we have been trading below for 6 months now. All right, so that is a sign, I would say, of some good strength coming back. Of course, if you look at other confirmations, the long-term trend is up. Look at the red and blue. It has been up since like last year. All right, red above the blue, both pointing up. The green 20 days moving average line, it was like down in February and then became flat in March, all right, when the war started. But then over the past 1-2 weeks, it started to point up, right? So another confirmation of that reversal happening, right? So I think you want to put this stock in your watch list. Basically, my take is this. I mean, we've got two bullish signals. Of course, last Wednesday, you got in a bit then a bit cheaper lah. But now it's gone up a bit, but doesn't mean cannot go up some more, right? I think it still looks okay. If you can stay above 270, or maybe can give a bit of allowance lah. I would say above 260 lah, 260, 270. Maybe I can draw a little bit of support right over here, right? You can see a little bit of a resistance, turn support. So anything above 260, 270 lah, that is where I would say we can do a little bit of a projection, right? From here, I mean, this whole entire, 5-6 months consolidation range, right? We can do a bit of a projection from here. We can shape it up. Let's see, where would that be? Well, maybe somewhere around that 330, 340, right over there. I think that could be where we could start to see, even more upside. All right, so looks pretty good. Two bullish signals, broke the 370 resistance. Sorry, broke the 270 resistance. Now it's 278. All right, so AMD, right? Make sure I type the correct code. I was really wrong again. So AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. Okay, correct. All right, so yeah. So it looks pretty bullish. All right, I think as long as it stays above 260 to 270, we could see the next phase of upside, right? And could be even faster as well. Okay, so that is for Advanced Micro Devices, AMD. Okay, and just want to share with you guys. So this is a US stock, all right? But as I mentioned just now, in case you guys missed it, right? On a daily basis, we also share with our clients in Phillip Securities, where I'm a broker for more than 12 years now, all right? Top ideas on the Singapore market, right? This is US, right? So for our clients, we share Singapore top ideas daily by WhatsApp, right? So find out more, link is in the chat. If you're not getting any service, any idea, any videos, nothing, right, from your own broker, check it out. I look forward to send you some of those ideas so you can act on them even faster. Okay, Ken, so that is the bonus stock from me. Let me pass on the mic to Z to cover her bonus stock for today. Z, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let me share my screen here. And the bonus stock, right, that I would like to share with you guys today will be this stock called Lam Research Corporation, and the stock code is LRCX. So a bit of background information, right, about Lam Research, right, is that basically what this company does, right, is that they actually provide all the fabrication equipment for the global semiconductor industry. So think about it as like part of the semiconductor supply chain. They need to create the machine for the manufacturers, semiconductor manufacturers, to go and produce all those electronical components. Okay, so this will be at the start of the semiconductor supply chain. Okay, so that basically is a bit of information about Lam Research for those of you who are not sure what it does. Okay, but technically wise, let's take a look at Lam Research, right? And how does the chart look like? And to me, I think this is also a very beautiful chart, right? I mean, not all chart looks so beautiful. Not all chart you can see the trend so clearly, but for this Lam Research, you can take a look at it yourself, right? If you open your trading view, you can see the same thing as me, right? And what we can see is a very strong and I would say a beautiful uptrend. And it seems like the uptrend is pretty sustainable as well because of periods of consolidation that we can also witness and see, right? Because if uptrend just keep going up, no consolidation at all, no sideways consolidation, no buyers coming in to support, right? Just keep going up and up and up, right? I mean, of course, happy lah if you get in profit very fast, right? But also very scary, right? Because it can also come down very fast. But in this situation for Lam Research, you can see that for over the past year, right, even start of 2025, you can see that there are periods of consolidation, breakout, consolidate. Now, it seems like potentially we are looking at a potential breakout as well, right? In fact, this red line, 250, maybe let me just change it first. I change it to green color. Why I change it to green color? Because price as of last night closed at 260, right? It's above this 250. Just change it to green first, right? So as you can see, like I was mentioning, right, it seems like it's forming like a ladder, right? And ladder, when it actually happens in an uptrending stock, right, it's actually a good thing because it allows us to know that it suggests to us that the uptrend is actually indeed more sustainable. Okay, and right now, price last night, as mentioned, closed at 260. And over the past couple of days, right, we can see that price actually break out and is currently still holding above 250. And 250, I would say, would be the immediate support level. Previously, it was a resistance. It was actually a key resistance. In fact, you can see somewhere in February, in March, this was the level that prices rejected, right? Approach this level, selling pressure come in, push price back down. Go back up once again, test, long upper shadow, push it back down again. So this 250, I would say, is quite a crucial resistance, right? And eventually prices managed to break out above it. We got 200T bullish signal appearing as well. And right now, selling pressure come in, profit taking happen, and is pushing price back down once again to retest this 250 support level, right? So I would say that in terms of Lam Research, right, I don't know, for those of you who are holding on to a position or thinking about potentially entering a position, right? This 250, I would say this is definitely one of the levels, right? A potential support zone that you want to watch out for to see if this level indeed can hold, right? If this level hold, potential upside targets that we are looking towards, right, will be towards around $300. How do we get this? Based on a projection, right? Simply a projection that it was actually trading in a range for, at the start of 2026 to where we are at now, right? And you push it up, right? And you project it up. And that would be the potential upside target that we are looking at based on the range projection, and also the fact that $300 is a psychological resistance as well. But of course, this provided that prices retrace back, right? And this could be potentially, if it's able to hold, that is where you want to set some price alert for a potential zone of entry, okay? But of course, that being said, right, I also want to highlight a very crucial thing, because now currently we are amidst the earnings season. It just started, right? And you can see over here, Lam Research, next week, Wednesday, is also earnings season. Is also releasing their earnings. So I don't have a crystal ball. I also don't know whether how will the earnings be like, right? It could go up, it could go down, price could get up and down, right? So in the event that if you do decide to actually enter a position, make sure to have your risk in check as well, because earnings season, like I mentioned earlier on, very volatile, right? So if you do enter near the 250 based on the potential zone of entry, right, make sure to have your stop loss in place as well, right? And potential stop loss that you could be placing at, again, as mentioned, always slightly below the support level. Because why? If prices break below a support level, that is where we know selling pressure has once again returned, right? So potentially below the support level, you can actually place like maybe a 3 to 5% general rule of thumb, right, based on your risk appetite as well, slightly below the support level for your stop loss, in case if prices were to reverse, in case this is a false breakout, unable to hold above 250, at least we manage our downside, right, together with position sizing. Okay, so overall, I would say that definitely Lam Research will still be keeping in our watch list, and definitely to monitor very crucially this 250, whether can prices indeed hold above, and if it does, potential upside target towards the $300 based on the projection range. Okay, so that would be for Lam Research. And if you guys like this stock, I mean, of course, you guys can place this stock in your watch list as well. Okay, so with that, I think we have come to the end of today's session, right, Joey? I'll pass the time back over to Joey to close off.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Yes, indeed, guys. I think we have covered two bonus stocks, right? The one from me would be this company called AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, all right? And Z just covered on Lam Research as well, all right? So that's it, guys. I mean, this is pretty much the two stocks. I hope you found it useful. You can put it in your watch list, over the next 1 week, 2 weeks. If the levels talk about gets broken, I think that's where more upside could continue as well. Okay, Ken? So, yep, I think that's it, right? That's it. So next Friday, we're back to the Singapore market. So do join us if you have not covered your US stock today. Thank you so much for those of you who have typed in the chat a little bit of context, and I hope that you're a bit clearer, right? All right. If you have not covered yours, very sorry. Next Friday, Singapore. Okay, next Friday, then we're back to the US market again, right? So thank you so much, Vincent. Thank you, NL as well, Brandon, Asho. Awesome, guys. So see you guys. All right. And just one thing before I end, right? One thing before I end. As I said just now, maybe we don't really mention what we've been using so far will be the one good trend strategy. All right. And based on this one good trend strategy that I've been using for more than 15 years now, what happens is that I have a tool, right? And we've been using this tool, in fact, over the past 2 hours, right? This is the one good trend pro indicator, all right? The pro version, right? So if you want to find a bit more, you can attend a free webinar. We don't have any webinar on this in the next few weeks. Maybe next month we do have one in May. All right. So Z can just place the link in the chat, attend a free webinar to find out more. That's where we could maybe even have access to this very same tool that we use on the daily basis for all our trades, the one good trend pro indicator. Right. However, if you would like to test drive the light indicator, the simpler version, the one good trend light indicator, we do have it, right, for free. You can do a test drive, 14 days free trial. Same thing, link is in the chat as well. All right, and that's where you test drive it before attending the webinar. right, next month. Okay, so I hope it helps regarding the signals, when to get in, when to get out, right, when not to buy, when not to get in. I think that's equally important as well, right? So thank you so much, Manfred. All right, Sifang as well. Awesome. We see you guys, Jared, Cynthia. All right, next Friday again. Thank you so much. Signing off. Bye. Anything to add, Z, in case I miss anything?
No, nothing to add on my end, but just want a word of caution for everybody, because currently, like I mentioned earlier on, we are currently in the amidst the earnings season just started, right? So definitely we could be seeing much more volatility coming back into the US market over the next couple of weeks as well. So be safe, guys, in the market, and make sure to have a plan in place.
Yep. Make sure to have a plan in place, right? Let's see how the deal goes, right? Let's see how the deal, the deals between US and Iran, even between Israel and Lebanon as well. All right, if it goes through, I think the market could be, that could be a real kicker for the market to be even more bullish than it is right now, all right, over the past 1 week. So let's see, right? Still volatile, but I think all that is being priced in slowly. If a deal actually goes through, like what I mentioned right at the beginning, right? That's where I think some good buying pressure could really return. Okay, so take care, everyone. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend with family. Take care. Bye-bye. We'll see you guys again. Bye-bye. Bye.